meeting for the Board of Selectmen for Monday, March 9th, 2015. I'm going to call the order at 5:30 because we have such a long day and evening. The chairman of the Board of Selectmen's on her way. I'll have to suffice. You'll suffer with me from that. We got a couple of things on our agenda to talk to. First of all, is anybody taping this?
I'll say it.
All right, thank you. We've got some things to discuss on our consent agenda. We have, the first two items are postponed until 6, so I'm not going to bring them up, but we've got a good energy aggregation document to look at. We've got a warrant signed for the town election as submitted by Jacqueline Brown, our town clerk. We've got abatements for the month of February 2015 submitted by our fire chief. Signed an agreement with Stop and Shop to use the bypass road for the 4th of July parade, to discuss raising residential solar permit fees. The signing of event notification for Saturday, May 22nd, 2015, and May the 25th, 2015, for the St. John Newman Church Lakeside Family Festival and Motorcycle Run. Is that the one that you cook hamburgers in, Paul?
Well, that's the one that you cook hamburgers in.
That was one of those. We've got to approve the Board of Selectmen minutes from December 2nd, 2015 to 12th, and February the 2nd. Discuss an article regarding OPEB and the town administrator's report. All right. Has anybody got anything they want to address with the board before we start?
I do.
Paula, please.
I provided everybody with a pack with a little clip on top, and it has it's in regard to a letter that I sent to the Board of Selectmen, and I mailed it the 29th of January. It was signed and received the 3rd of February, and it was regarding the Greater Attleboro Taunton Home Consortium. It's basically, it's like the 504 plan, but they have an expert that comes into your home and tells you what you need to have done, like a home inspection person. This is all federal money that's involved. The only thing Freetown has to do to become a part of this consortium is either call and represent yourself as being a Freetown leader, like one of the selectmen, or email this person, and they'll take it from there. I'm very concerned about this because I had damage to my house this year. I am disabled. I need to replace a few big windows that are going to cost thousands of dollars, and this money meant a lot to me. I called this morning at 9:15, and they told me at the Home Consortium in Taunton that nobody from Freetown has bothered to call them and show any interest in the program. And it was late in the season, and they felt that at this point in time Freetown might be losing out by not being made a part of it. So I'm concerned about this. I expected a little better from our town leadership in terms of, you know, this is an important issue, and I think it's important for the people of Freetown to have this at their fingertips if they need it. I've already maxed out on 504. I've taken advantage of that federal program about 5 years ago, so I'm all done with that. This is another federal program. They put the money on your deed. It's a lien on your deed. You don't see a bill every month. When you sell your home, then it's taken care of. And it does not accrue interest for as many years as you have it. But
no cost to the town for this
there's no
program?
cost to the town at all.
All you have to do is make a phone call?
That's it. And nothing was done.
That's not true, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
May I, Paula, I'll give you a copy of this to take with you, but I've given the board a report I was tasked with following up on it, which I did. As you can see from the attached email and other documentation attached, I spoke with Joe Azevedo of that office in Taunton on February 17th and again today. Paula, I was told by both Jim and Joe, by the way, Joe is a friend of mine. I go to church with him every Sunday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And He's a great guy, and so I'm familiar with the program. And certainly we can reach out, but I've determined the following things after talking with them and reviewing the information. And just to summarize, because of the demographics of the town of Freetown, the amount of new money that Freetown would bring to the Greater Attleboro Taunton Home Consortium would be small, $30,392. $30,392. Most rehab projects cost more than $30,000. Joe Azvito told me. The consortium would vote on whether or not to include Freetown in the consortium. There are currently 13 cities and towns in the group, and I've attached the map to show what towns are involved. It would require 8 positive votes, according to Joe, to include Freetown. Now, obviously, that's one more than a majority.
You're talking about from their organization.
Of the 13 cities and towns
Okay.
represented. If they're,
To accept somebody
if they
else.
don't all come to the meeting, then
Yeah.
the quorum's smaller. The consortium is receiving between $350,000 and $390,000 a year in federal money for this program at the present time. That figure would increase by the $30,392 if Freetown was accepted. Because any project that came forward from Freetown would likely exceed the $30,392. That project would wind up being subsidized in part from the other communities' allocation, because they're pooled. This being the case, the other 13 communities may not vote to include Freetown in the consortium when the vote is taken. If they do include it, they may choose projects other than those in Freetown to fund. That being said, we can send a letter, and I would, if directed by the board to do so, asking to be considered for inclusion in the consortium, and that would trigger that vote to be included. So that's the situation.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
When would you be sending the letter in?
As soon as I'm instructed to by the board, tomorrow morning, if that's the case.
Good, okay.
Again, though, I think it's important to recognize that we're not talking about an awful lot of money here. And we're kind of at the mercy of the other communities in the consortium to even be eligible to utilize that 30,000.
I guess the research that you have, you're basing your opinion on that. However, the research that I've done contradicts some of that. And I don't want to get into petty details
Yeah.
about it, but I think we ought to give it a shot. It's worth a try.
Okay, now, everything I've said, including the concern about the vote and the dollars that are available, are documented in this package, and you can have this
Okay.
to take with you.
Okay.
And come from Joe and Jim themselves. So,
I don't understand, Jim said to me this morning, he hasn't heard from anybody from Freetown.
I know, that's because I talked to Joe. And Jim didn't know that. He knows it now,
Oh, okay,
because I talked to both of them again
all right.
today. I called and I asked for Joe particularly, because I know him.
Is he involved in the program with?
Oh, yeah,
Because
sure.
Jim identified himself as a program director.
Yeah, right. No, he is, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So, you're welcome to
I'll
this
take that.
packet. And,
So,
Did you want to say anything?
I have a question.
Yeah, actually, I have a question, Jack. This
ladies
consortium.
first?
Yeah.
Huh?
Ladies first?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Diane Scott.
Okay.
If we don't get the approval of the other communities, is
Yeah.
there such, have you ever asked Joe if we could have our own? I mean, we do have other towns abutting us that we could start another consortium. I was
don't-
wondering if that was possible.
I don't know the answer to that question. It's,
I think that's, you know, something to look into, you
Yeah.
know? I think it would be a shot in the arm for Freetown. It would, you know, help a lot of people. I mean, if they can have it in Martha's Vineyard, they can have it here.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Mm.
So in essence, just so I know, it's,
Lakeville has it.
we got your letter.
Lakeville's in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Jack,
Yeah.
Jack responded, he talked with the managers for the consortium, and the way it sits now, we have to be invited in to partake from the benefits, and if the other 13 communities don't invite us in, then we're nowhere.
We have to express an interest to one along.
We did that.
Yes.
So now it's up to us, it's up to them to take a vote once they get the letter, which will
Oh,
instruct
okay.
Jack to send, and then they'll move forward. And your suggestion is if they don't want to give up the $30,000 or they don't want us a part of it because they could in fact have money taken from their share, then your suggestion is we try to start our own consortium with the other surrounding communities?
I think it's worth asking about, see, you know, see what we can do about that. There are other towns that probably would be interested that abut us, you
Make a
know.
motion to have Jack send a letter of interest.
Thank you,
And then
thank you very much for,
Actually, I still have a question.
All right, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Jack, it's unclear to me, the $30,000+ that we're talking about,
Yeah.
which would be Freetown's share of our input into the consortium, is that the limit that Freetown could get? And what you're saying is that if a project is approved, let's say for 50,000, 20,000 would come from the other people in the consortium.
Right.
How do, how does that determination being made?
By the consortium.
Well, again, it seems like like an old boy network here. Each town gets X number of dollars. Is that how it works?
I don't know, I haven't been to any
Huh?
meetings. I haven't been to any meetings, I can't tell you. I
So,
don't know.
Wait a minute, let me rescind my motion until I find out something. Is this gonna cost Freetown anything?
no,
no,
No.
no, not a thing.
If anything, you might make some money because they have to have building permits, things like that. I mean, it's not much, but
That's
That's-
immaterial.
I don't
But
think that
that's-
30,000
I
is
don't
carved in
missed
stone either.
presentation.
Martha's,
the question comes to mind is you've got an old boy network here, and how does it split up? Does everybody
Wait a
take a
minute, what do you mean
percentage?
by an old boy network? Who has an old boy network?
A very small concern, old boy network. a
Yeah, but
very
who
small.
has the old boy network?
The
Town of
consortium.
Freetown?
No, the
Oh, okay.
consortium. And it just, my question is, who gets what? Is it split up by the amount, the size of the town, the amount that they get? That's my question. Do you know any more?
From what
Yeah.
Mr.
Online.
Azevedo said to me, I guess there's, HUD allots a certain amount of money. And then it's distributed to all the different towns.
yep.
How that's
Right,
distributed,
it
I
must
don't
be a
know.
formula
There
based
is.
on
That's my point.
population
There
or
is.
low income or whatever. I don't think it's a good old boy network to say like you get so much and you, I think there's probably a formula
Yes,
that
there
makes
is.
it
There is.
palatable
If you look at this
and
map,
feasible for the communities.
if you look at the map, there's 13 towns in a consortium. Each one gets, there's about 30,000 to each one.
Yeah.
And that
Well, no,
makes up to
it's
390,000.
based on the demographics of the community,
Exactly.
how many,
I haven't
Low
read it,
income.
but that would be my
But
guess.
again, they have to vote you in or vote you out, and that's
It's
not-
just, right,
well.
because they don't, well,
I
it's just like.
understand that, but if you can, as a town, if you can be excluded,
have no
because
power over that.
because they're saying you're not gonna get enough money from the federal fund, or you're not gonna contribute enough money from the federal fund. It seems to be discriminatory as far as the size of the town, and my question was, what is the determining factor here? What, is it the size of the town? Again, I don't know, is it
It's all demo-
HUD figures, I don't know how it's,
Like they
Don't know
said,
anything about it.
it's all here in the packet.
Don't
demographics.
know anything about
It's
it.
on demographics,
Low-
It's
in
the
packet,
number of-
all of it.
number
We're
of,
gonna have to watch this.
a number of rental units that are occupied by low-income people, number of, single-family homes, that are occupied by income eligible people.
So the qualifications for somebody to apply
Yeah.
would be along those lines?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, all right.
We
Right.
qualify.
I just wanna ensure that there is no, we don't have to commit any funding.
No, we don't.
Well, the only.
Okay, I'm
the only-
asking our town
yeah.
administrator, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I've attached all the documentation I could find on the program. And I did highlight one bullet on this page of the package, you see. It's after the map, right after the map.
Okay.
The program is designed to reinforce several important values and principles of community development. Homes, that's the program, HOME. Flexibility empowers people and communities to design and implement strategies tailored to their own needs and priorities. Home's emphasis on consolidating planning expands and strengthens partnerships. Home's technical assistance activities and set aside for qualified community-based nonprofit housing groups builds the capacity of these partners. And then the one I've highlighted, Home's requirement that participating jurisdictions match 25 cents of every dollar in program funds mobilizes community resources in support of affordable housing. That's a question mark, obviously.
Alright.
I'm gonna rescind my motion.
Can I, yeah,
Okay,
can I,
can I just say why I'm gonna rescind my
Right.
motion? Unless I missed it, was this in our packet, Ally?
No,
no,
it was not.
I've never seen this before.
right.
Right.
Okay.
And I just came in, so I apologize. I really thought our meeting was, I knew it was at 5:30, but I thought we were doing other business before we got into the nitty-gritty of things like approved minutes, so I apologize for that. That being said, I'm a little bit behind on this because I just got in here. I would like to read this over. I do have questions about it. I want to ensure that we're not spending money that we don't have and making a commitment that we're unsure of at this point. I think that there needs to be more investigation done by our town administrator and the board itself. So we've been meeting every week, basically, so we could put this on our agenda for next week. All right, I don't want to wait too long and lose out on an opportunity, but I also want to do our due diligence and make sure that we look everything over and have all of our facts in order before we move forward. That would be.
Why weren't you notified of this before? Because she sent a letter quite a
No,
while
we sent a
ago.
letter, she did send a letter.
I knew, sorry.
Yeah, she sent a letter, this original email.
You brought it up in a
You
meeting?
took, yeah, you took action on,
And we told,
February 12th.
Yeah.
and we told him to look into it. But this is the first time that we're getting all of the information.
You can see though that we met on the 11th, the February 17th. Joe sent me this first email.
Yep,
I
yeah,
think
so
the
it takes
second.
time to go back and forth.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
no fault of anybody's. The
Yeah.
weather's been crazy and everything's been a little unstable lately. But I don't think another week is gonna, hurt anybody. So we'll take this up at our next meeting, but it'll give us time to really delve into it and learn more. And if you have anything you wanna pass along, you can pass it through our administrative assistant. We'll be more than happy. She'll give it to all of us and we'll be able to look things over.
Okay.
All right, we wanna make sure we have all the facts.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
Actually, one final question, this is all federal money, right? This is not,
I don't know.
It's hard.
Jack, does that say to the
As far as
package?
I know, it's federal money.
Oh, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a grant, it's,
I don't know what it is if
Okay.
you're asking me.
actually, I'm just
No, he's
curious
asking
here,
Jack,
I'm just,
but-
curious as to how it manifests itself, and where does the money come from, and what
Right.
department does it come from? and-
Right, and do we have to do a match?
Uh,
So it's those things that we need to look
Yeah,
into.
no, I understand, I'm just wondering if it's, usually, when it comes to HUD, there are hoops to go through, there are a lot of things to do with federal money.
But,
But once I'm guessing, and I don't know, I mean, because why is if we're talking HUD money, why is Lakeville, is there a?
well, they did that huge affordable housing project down near the train station, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I wasn't actually thinking
I'm
about
pretty sure
that.
it does.
I mean,
But
I
I
don't
don't
know
wanna,
anything about this program.
neither do I just saw it.
So, I mean, I don't know how I can
No, no,
respond to you, all I can
I'm
tell
not
you is
trying,
that
no, I'm not trying to
if
press.
there's no
I'm just-
cost to us, and all we need to do to be considered to be part of it
Right.
is a letter from us, and I think at the next meeting, it's very simple for us to make a motion
Right.
to send a letter.
Right,
If
exactly.
there's no cost to us, that's
Right,
it.
no problem.
I'm gonna give it away.
Oh, here's your Ally's.
Oh,
Here are
okay.
Ally's.
You okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. We need to move on. Go.
We're meeting at, we're gonna start at 7.
7, yes, that's why I want boogie on this.
Huh?
I want to keep going with my meeting.
Oh, that's allowed.
So we can meet at 7, thank
That's
you.
allowed.
All right,
There you go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
you going to get us coffee? Thank you.
No, she's
Yes,
gonna-
actually,
she's
I'm
gonna
gonna
make
get something
muffins.
to eat, I haven't had anything
She's
to
gonna
eat
make
all day.
muffins for us.
Okay, thank you.
No, I was talking to Alderson.
Well, always forget it.
Yeah, forget it. All right, anybody else here for public discussion?
One quick question.
You better be quick, no, I'm
Oh,
not.
Lisa.
Totally
Sarah
want
Rosa.
equal times.
No, I'm not gonna take a lot of time. I had a question as to whether or not the Board of Selectmen got a request from Cynthia Souza to be assigned to the Library Planning Committee.
I just got it.
You just got it?
I just did.
Okay, so then you'll be taking, because it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, no, I just got it.
No, we
Okay,
just-
I approve whenever you do discuss it in case I'm not here. Okay?
Okay. All right.
That was quick. Any other
Mr.
quick stuff?
Taglianetti, how are you? Come on.
How are you?
Good.
I apologize if I'm late.
Okay.
This is my calendar for 6 p.m., so I apologize if I'm late. I am Dave Taglianetti with BHD Engineering, here tonight on behalf of the Stop and Shop supermarket companies, and just want to take probably about 5 minutes of your time to discuss the improvements that we've been proposing for South Main Street. The improvements are associated with the existing Stop and Shop distribution facility. Back in 2002, when the distribution facility was first permitted and built, we made improvements along a section of South Main Street. And just to get your bearings, here's the existing Stop and Shop distribution facility. Here is exit 9, and here is the new interchange 8.5B, or 8.5. When Stop and Shop was first constructed back in 2002, they put an access drive out to South Main Street down in this location here. So as part of this initial phase of the project, we improved South Main Street all along this corridor up until the state freeway line associated with the interchange. Now that improvement took the existing South Main Street section, which is approximately 21 to 22 feet in width, and widened the pavement out to a 26-foot edge of pavement to edge of pavement width, and added a 5-foot sidewalk. So that's what we're proposing to do for the second phase of development, which will run from where phase 1 ended, just south of the access drive to Stop and Shop, and will go all the way up into the state right-of-way associated with the CSX Railroad
The railroad
right-of-way.
tracks, okay.
Correct, correct. So those improvements will also include the same cross-section that we did under phase 1. Again, that section of road is variable width. You know, the pavement varies from 21 feet in width to 22 feet in width, and it's just not sufficient for the different vehicle classifications traveling along that section of roadway today. Now that this interchange is open, as we all know, there are now trucks that access the distribution facility from exit 8.5 and travel along this section of roadway. So the plan was all along to upgrade that section of roadway, and it's actually been under design for over 2 years. But because of a limited right-of-way associated with South Main Street, it was a challenge to get a design that worked. So recent property acquisitions by Stop and Shop has allowed us to widen that stretch of roadway to the east, because now Stop and Shop owns the entire frontage along that stretch of roadway to be improved, and we were able to just hold the edge of pavement along this side
and widen along the Stop and Shop side. So that allowed us to put in the section of roadway that we feel is needed for the traffic that uses this section of roadway today, add the sidewalk, and also do drainage improvements as well. So the other piece of this project is we're also extending the sewer force main that ended as part of phase one, and we'll connect into the existing sewer system that currently services the Riverfront Business Park and the Stop and Shop distribution facility. The last comment I want to make is with respect to an abutter who lives at 145 South Main Street. That abutter was concerned with sight distance coming out of his driveway onto South Main Street. That's an existing condition for that abutter, for that owner. I met with him, along with Stop and Shop representatives, along with Mr. Healy, probably about a month or so ago. And what we were able to demonstrate to the abutter, Rick Garant, is that by widening out the roadway, by holding the edge of pavement and widening out the roadway and shifting the roadway approximately 6 feet from where his driveway is today, we were able to increase the sight distance coming out of his driveway. So shifting the roadway over 6 feet away from him, and some of the grading modifications that we're going to do.
Sidewalks on his side.
Sidewalks on his side. We were able to physically stand in the roadway and demonstrate to him that when you went out 6 feet and you looked to the left, he had clear visibility to a second horizontal curve along the roadway, sufficient for his concerns. And in the opposite direction to the north, he had clear visibility. So that was one of his concerns, and it was a legitimate concern based on existing conditions that we are improving. His other concern was just the project itself. He lives, his home is right in this location here. So in the wintertime, the shade trees don't give him any visual buffer to the facility. So we reviewed with Stop and Shop, and Stop and Shop has agreed to put in some type of evergreen, some type of hedge that will provide year-round visibility to screen his house from the Stop and Shop development. Whether that happens on his property or on the opposite side of South Main Street can be determined by the abutter. So he had other issues associated with the project, but those are the two issues that we felt were legitimate concerns that we could address in the scale and scope of this project. So just the last point I wanted to make to you all. So from a procedural standpoint, the project has gone before the local conservation commission. An order of conditions was issued back in December for this project. So the only other permit for this project is a road opening permit that you all will have to issue to the contractor when this project is awarded. So I just felt it was necessary, and I want to come before you, present the project. This way, if you had any questions, comments, concerns about what we're proposing to do, I would hopefully be able to answer them.
All right, I'll open it up to board. Questions?
First question I have is, when you plan on starting?
On or about June 1st of this year.
Okay. And the other question I have is, when you talk about that sewer line that you're bringing down, you're gonna tie it in on this end, which is the east end,
Well,
or the west end, is the west end?
yeah, and it's essentially, Route 24 runs north and south. This is actually north.
Yeah,
On-
okay.
on this
All right,
sheet.
On that, okay,
So,
so on the
yeah, so,
south.
correct, so there's an existing sewer manhole that we'll be connecting into, and that sewer manhole runs by force main to the Freetown, Fall River Town Line.
Okay.
And then once it gets into Fall River, it runs by gravity and through the Fall River
So-
system.
So actually, from where you put in the last line, which is, where's
Which
it
is
start?
just south of the existing access drive into Stop and Shop
That's where the last
distribution.
line
That's where that sewer force main ended.
ended. And there's nothing going the other way at this point, right?
There's a sewer force main that runs all
All
the way up past
Okay,
Narrows
so
Road.
then there's a sewer line all the way down And tied into Fall River, once you guys get done.
Right.
So you'll have sewer line along the entire stretch of South Main Street, just north of Narrows Road, all the way down to.
Where's the upgrade that you're gonna make as part of this project?
That upgrade, again, it's from just south of the existing access drive
Yeah.
into Stop and Shop, so right in this location here. And we're gonna run along the improvements. And then just south of the access drive into the administration building, it's that main access into Riverfront Business Park.
Mm-hmm.
There's an existing sewer manhole that we had put in as part of the Phase 1 development for the distribution facility.
Mm-hmm.
So we had left a stub in that sewer manhole, so that's where we're gonna be, that's where we will connect to.
Okay.
Now, can anybody tie in into that line?
No, because it's a force main, and it'll be up to the town. We're gonna put in stubs along there, so it may be difficult for a resident to tie in, because they're gonna have, you know, if a resident, yeah, it's a pressure issue, exactly, thank you. It's a pressure issue, there's gonna be high pressure, you know, when there is flow in that line, there'll be a high pressure of flow in the line. So for an abutting resident to tie in, it's just not gonna work from a pressure standpoint.
What about other companies?
Other companies, yeah, it'll have to be planned in,
Planned in,
it'll have to
yeah.
connect in with.
But
with
there
the
would be no
enforcement.
issue to use that line.
No issue at all. I mean, it's being put in at the town's request for future development along South Main Street, and actually in this general area. You know, any
Yep.
additional development around the interchange can be accommodated by that.
I really want
By
to
that
commend
force.
Stop and Shop for taking that action.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and it's been a long couple of years that this project has been under design. There were design issues, budgetary issues, but we think we have all of our ducks in a row, and we're ready to start again.
I'd also like to compliment Stop and Shop on the fact that they had a concerned resident, and through actions on Stop and Shop's through actions that Stop and Shop did, they kind of mitigated any concerns that he had. So I appreciate that, because that particular resident came to the board a few months ago and had some issues that he wanted to share with us, which obviously you heard about and moved forward on, so thank you for that.
You're welcome, and I think Stop and Shop feels the same way. You know, they've had a good relationship with the town of Freetown and the abutters, and want to continue to have that same solid relationship going forward.
Well, I'm just gonna follow the good old boy network and say the same thing.
The good old girl network.
We're part of the good old girl network.
I was sitting back there hearing that expression, I'm looking at Lisa, I'm like, how does that really add up?
Yeah, yeah.
It added up just fine.
I just wanted, the reason I asked about it was I wanted to make sure that he wasn't, I didn't think he was referring to Freetown, but
From where I was sitting, I thought he was, and then when
that's
he
why I
clarified
wanted to make it clear.
You have
I walked in late.
zero control over anything that the consortium does. They invite you in or they don't, period. You know?
Dave, thanks so much for taking your time and coming in. I think
Yeah.
the board really wanted to see this, and I think it's good for the people back home to watch this go on as well. Thank you.
My pleasure. I know Mr. Healy has my email address. Any other questions, feel free to send me an email or contact me. I'll be glad to come back or answer as best I can.
All right, thank you.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
No, not at all, not these days.
So they'll be in, how soon will they be in for that road opening permit?
Well, we're gonna bid the project in April,
Okay.
award the project in May. So I would think sometime between May 1st and June 1st, the selected contractor will be in to file for the road opening permit.
So we need to expedite it.
We would appreciate that.
Okay.
Dave's great to work with.
Yes, I have worked with him, and he's really a great guy.
Appreciate your efforts.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dave. Great. Stephen Stefano, thanks. I had to get my Italian flair in there.
There you go.
So thank you for,
Stefano's from Good Energy Aggregation.
so thank you for having me. You may recall I was here prior to the fall town meeting discussing the Serped aggregation program. The aggregation program that's designed to save residents money and provide price stability on electricity rates for any account that's currently served by the basic service of N-Star Eversource. So I'm here to I can give you a little update.
Okay.
I think when I was here, I believe we had 8 towns that had signed up to be part of the SERPED program, and we refer to it as the SERPED program because SERPED, which is the Regional Planning Agency, had conducted an RFP process, a competitive bid, and we were selected. Good Energy was selected by unanimously by an 8-member panel. So to give you an update, today we have 14 communities signed up. We're approaching, we're at 150,000 households, which is great. Some of the largest communities in the area, and a good balance between both Eversource and National Grid, which is great for all.
Eversource, people won't recognize it.
Right, NSTAR. So for NSTAR that releases their rates in January, most people have recently received their bill over the last 3-4 weeks and have probably seen the increase. And that's really what the program is designed to provide, not only savings but stability, so you're not going to see the spikes from the summer and winter going up and down. It would be a fixed price over the entire term of the contract. So at this stage, this is the actual aggregation plan. I know that Jack has a copy electronically as well as a hard copy. And what needs to happen at this stage is that before we submit the plans to the DPU for their approval, there needs to be sign-off and approval from the select board, as well as...
Dave, you have to go up this way.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting, I was asking if I could go up that back.
You wanna walk into a snowbank?
Thank you.
So, in addition to your approval, this requires a 2-week public review period. That can be done, like I said, either having individuals come and read a hard copy at town hall, or it can be linked to your website. And there's an electronic copy that's available. I believe you have that, Jack. That can be just added to that as a PDF, and people can read it and comment on it. So that's really where we are. I don't know, I'm here really to answer also questions, so if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer.
Paul does.
I have a question. I don't, it probably doesn't pertain, it might pertain to your company and this agreement. Somebody came to me over the weekend, was telling me about an issue that they had, and the first thing that came to mind was this type of agreement. They apparently wanted to switch over to another, and they're from town, okay? They switched over to another provider. They did that, and then the NSTAR, or now Eversource, went back to, I think, 3 or 4 months, recalculated their old bills that had been paid at a higher rate and rebuild them. You know anything about?
I know everything about that. So that's called a reconciliation charge. And the way it works is the rates that you pay, the way, and this is also for National Grid as well, it works the same way. The fixed price you pay is actually an average of 6 months individual pricing for NSTAR from January through June. So each month has its own price. You average those together and you get your fixed price. If you decide, let's say, April, to leave and go with a third-party supplier, NSTAR is going to look at your bill and they're going to say, okay, well, you were paying a fixed price for January, February, and March, but we're now going to charge you the monthly rate because the fixed rate is based on all 6 months. You're leaving after 3. So that's why our program is going to start when your rates change. Because if you start at the same time that your rates change, you avoid a reconciliation charge. And we're also going to develop a strategy around that because there may be a way that reconciliation charge can also be a credit. So if you know what those charges are and you can start the program potentially a month earlier or later, or a couple of months, depending on what those monthly rates are, there's an opportunity potentially to get a $40 check right up front.
Next question.
Yeah.
My understanding is once we sign this agreement, like every other community that's involved in this, all our residents who have electric service automatically go into that plan.
Only that are on the basic service. So that gentleman that's made a decision to go with a third-party supplier, he's excluded.
But if you're on the basic, you
Right.
go into that plan.
That's right.
You have a way to mitigate this adjustment from
Correct.
the prior provider, right? Now, if I remember right, you can opt out of this plan.
That's right.
So let's say 4 months down the road, somebody says, I wanna opt out, do you go back
No,
and average and do the
No.
same thing to them? Okay, so there's no,
no.
okay,
That only applies when you're leaving the utility,
okay.
when you go back to the utility. But one of the things I
And they
did,
don't send you a bonus for going back, do they?
no, but there's, one of the things I remember we spoke about when I was here last fall was you were having your residents really getting bombarded by some of these third-party suppliers.
still
You
are.
had people going door to door, you had the mailers, and one of the things I want to stress is, everybody has their iPad here, so there's, what we did for the Serpent communities is we have a website, right? And that website is www.serped, which is SRPEDD hyphen Muni, MUNIAGG.com. And it's a great resource for residents, that's why we did it. So when you go to that, you'll see all the participating communities on the left. And anybody that's from Freetown can select Freetown, read about the program as it relates to Freetown, which is basically the same for all the N-Star communities. It'll just reference the date of the town meeting where the article was passed. And then what's really nice is it has an FAQ section that'll answer, you know,
Frequently asked questions.
yeah, it's got a lot of answers, a lot of information, but really most importantly, on the front page is something that it just refers to it as a word of caution, because residents are being confused across the state. So a lot of residents are confused as to what's going on. So the reason we did this website is to make sure that residents know that nobody coming to your door, nobody calling you, nobody emailing you, none of those postcards in your mailbox are affiliated with this program. That when this program, when it starts to progress, any communication will be recognizable as coming from the town, because we will have the town stamp on it, the seal on it. And that the program won't start until we are looking to go to bid in the fall. So this is something that's really, we're trying to get ahead of next winter's rate increase. This isn't something that's gonna start this summer. So we really urge residents to find their way to that website. There's also a way where you can just put in your contact information, which several hundred residents have done. If you actually go to Rehoboth, their town website, if you go to, in fact, Northbridge, is somewhat interesting, is not in this area. So Serped is in Worcester County. They're not part of Serped, but they thought the process that was run by Serped, the selection process, was such a good process that they joined the group, even though they're not regionally located here. So it says a lot about the way the process was run. So we would like to have the town link to that website from the municipal website, so that when residents go to your website, and the reason I mentioned Rehoboth is because I personally get a report daily on traffic and signups. And there's no surprise that Rehoboth leads the way on both those fronts, because when you go to the Rehoboth website, homepage, residential energy aggregation program, click here. If somebody has to scroll or dig around, they just don't find it. And this is important right now, because some of those programs are a little scary. You get an introductory rate that seems very attractive, especially when your rate is so high. And then next thing you know, it becomes a variable rate in some cases, or suddenly it's not as appealing, and then you want to terminate, and you get hit with severe termination penalties. So we just want to make residents, we give a little word of advice that if a resident wants to pursue one of those programs, read the fine print, get a contract in writing, ask some basic questions. Is it a fixed rate for the whole term? Are there termination penalties? You know, they're very good at making it sound very appealing, so just a word of caution is the way we
The
word
other
it.
thing is, so much information just confuses people, they end up not doing anything. On the Rehoboth website, is there anywhere where it happens to mention maybe that the town supports this?
Yeah, so what it will say, if you were to go to the website, the Serped website, and you were to click on the town of Rehoboth or Freetown, any of the towns, it'll tell you the town voted to approve this at a town meeting on X date or at city council. We're excited that the city of New Bedford has come on board, as well as Dartmouth approved it at their special town meeting 2 weeks ago. So for communities that are in N-Star, that's great, because those are big cities, big towns and cities.
There are some small businesses that are able to get into this too?
Any account that's on basic service
Basic
will be
service.
automatically enrolled. Now, the reality is the large accounts are already participating in deregulation.
Yeah.
And for the statistics we have show that large commercial and industrial users, over 90%, are off and running with deregulation. It's the small commercial accounts that are not well served, just like residents, that are gonna be automatically eligible for the program. So that's nice. And they have the same provision, if they choose to opt out, they can do so at any time, no penalties. Yeah.
So when is the next cycle? If you're not gonna, it's a 6-month cycle, correct?
Right.
When's the next cycle end? When we're in now?
End of June.
End of June. So this, our people will not be able to get in until what, the end of December?
We're gonna look at that reconciliation charge and see what it looks like to potentially, start in November, December. But worst case, if you start in January, then you avoid the reconciliation charge
We're
altogether.
a year out.
Right.
So we're a year away from this.
We are, and the reason for that is the DPU approval process. So the Department of Public Utilities has to approve these plans. That's part of the reason why I'm here, is that we wanna make sure that we get these plans approved. This plan is modeled after plans that have already been approved. So unlike school, the DPU encourages plagiarism. They say, here are the approved plans. Use them as a model to develop your plan so that it's language that's familiar to them, that they've seen. That being said, it can easily take 5-6 months. So that's why we want to make sure that if you have any questions, we answer them. Otherwise, getting these approved, getting the public comments for 2 weeks, we're trying to get all the plans submitted at the end of this month. So that's kind of the time frame that we're looking at, is to get this, and you don't have to have the 2-week period prior to you approving it. So we're not submitting it that 2-week period just has to expire by the time we submit it to the DPU, but not. So most of the towns, in fact, Rehoboth is actually approving it tonight, and then they're gonna put it up on their website. I've actually put the plans for the various towns on that Serped website, because people are already going there, so we've linked to it off of each town. So if you want me to do that, I'm happy to have that done. We can have it up on your site by tomorrow, and that way residents will link to it. If they wanna read these pages, there'll be a PDF there, and they can read to it, and it satisfies the public review requirement.
Okay. Yes, can I talk?
Sorry, you know what? When did he say this was a,
Good old boy.
A good old boy network.
There you go.
Jeez.
Well, Paul, where's my A string?
All right, so,
We have to take a vote to see if she can talk, right?
Lee,
Good old boy?
when you become chair and at the annual town meeting, I think it would be good to let everybody know at that time about, a little bit more about the program, you know what I mean, and not to be fooled, sort of.
Mhm.
Also, if we could put it up on our town signs,
He's the guy.
maybe like, don't be fooled, check out Town of Freetown website for energy information, so people are not fooled by copycats, or not copycats, but other companies coming in.
Mhm.
So if we could put those up on our town
Don't be
signs.
fooled, we got you the
Yeah.
best deal that's available.
Don't be fooled, Freetown sponsored energy savings program, check the website, something like that. And then that way, it'll
Yeah.
capture people and it'll direct them to the website. It's really hard to get the word out. Also, can we put it on the ticker, on the cable, like they have the cable? If we can put it on the ticker on that cable?
I can call and ask, I
Okay,
don't know.
then that way people will be directed to the website, because it's really hard to get the information out. I mean, it's just
Absolutely.
us,
Absolutely.
and if people watch that, but,
It would
and
be-
we can ask Mr. Garcia to make sure that he puts it in the newspaper too, then at least we're covering as much ground as we can.
Right. And a lot of people have actually, you can go to the site and sign up and put in your name, and then we'll keep you updated.
That's
And we've had
perfect.
a lot of people sign up that basically, and part of what we'll do is periodically we'll send out an email blast and just say, okay, we're officially submitted to the DPU, but the program isn't gonna start till next year. Because that's what we wanna avoid, and
Right.
you wanna avoid people thinking they're signing up for this, and really they're signing up for, some mailbox offer. And the key is that nobody's coming to your door, we're not calling, we're not doing any of that stuff, and when we do it, people are gonna know because it's gonna be recognizable as coming from the town. And the way we refer to it on the website, what you're talking about is a word of caution,
Yeah.
Okay.
so,
Buyer beware.
buyer beware, that's it.
All right, I'll entertain a motion from the board. I'm shutting you down.
I hope everybody's watching how she mistreats me.
Yeah, right.
I'll make a motion that we sign the agreement.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you
Okay,
so
great.
much for
All
your
right,
time.
thank you for your time.
You better put the date aside. Isn't that right, Mr. Baumgartner?
The
I
what?
would guess that if there ends up being a lot of questions, you're gonna be my guy that's gonna answer them in front of the annual town meeting, so we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and that's what we do.
It might be a good idea maybe just to have a brief presentation, and that would be the deal.
And if there's a way even ahead of that, because really now is the time when most of the residents are probably getting bombarded and feeling pressure to change because of the rates. We're happy to do something sooner as it relates to newspaper or radio or something like that, where we come on and we just tell people that this program has nothing to do with those offers. So whatever, we try and develop a marketing plan that's tailored to each community, so
Do you have a card?
I do.
Thanks.
If it doesn't work, we throw darts at it, that's the deal.
Well, I just got them, they're double-sided
It is.
because we have a new office in Boston and they're
Thank you.
unbelievably thick. I didn't realize they would do that.
Yeah.
Little plaques.
Yeah,
So
right.
are we supposed to, where do you want us to sign this out?
Let's see, you can set a shot glass on it without ruining
Right
your...
there?
Yeah. Yeah, and nobody will pick their teeth with it either. It's too
Yeah,
wide.
you need to have a big gap in there, right?
All right.
Stefano, is it just that very last page? Because I noticed one other page that they need, that I thought maybe they needed to sign, but I wasn't sure. It's like towards the middle.
I thought Lisa
The-
suggested that.
Is it
Yeah,
just one
it's-
area?
I would take one
Should
side.
have bookmarked it. Which is the page
The
you're?
very last page?
No.
Lisa, can you just show them that area? Just that very last area?
Okay, so, no, you know what, that's not the area because
So
that
it
is
must be the area right in the middle.
We already signed that one. Are these women coming in too?
Yeah, you know,
Sorry,
this
I
is,
confirmed with them. I confirmed with them on Thursday.
Okay.
can
Maybe
I,
they went to town.
can I make a quick phone call and just figure out exactly where
Yeah.
what the line is? And then-
Okay, yeah, we'll just leave it right here.
Okay, let me just, I'll
Thank
go
you.
outside. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, we can keep going. We're waiting for the copy printer to come in. Not a paper here. Ally, never do this to me again.
What's that?
Give me all of this stuff.
All this paper?
I don't want it.
Well, the aggregation agreement was 95 pages.
Yeah, I don't think.
She committed it to me looking for it.
Going down the line, down
I
the
think we're
line.
on, what do you call it? We're going to section 2, right?
Are we going to packet two?
I think so, because the aggregate.
Yes, you
agreement,
should be
yeah.
going to packet two,
We gotta
because the
go to packet.
aggregation was what cut up the packet.
Okay.
So you should be going to packet two.
2 of 84.
But it's nothing like high-tech technology, huh?
Wearing on my fingers, tapping.
Right?
Okay, look at this, packet number 2.
Packet number 2.
Page are we on in that package?
Packet number 2, let me see, I don't know.
Page 35.
Page 45.
So I got the clarity. So this is just to, a vote to approve that we can file this plan on your behalf with the
Okay, we don't have
DPW.
to
Yeah,
sign
you're
for
not
it.
signing anything.
Okay.
That's what I thought, so.
All right. Then you're
so
good
yeah,
to go.
That's it.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
very
time.
much.
Nice
All
to
right.
see you
Nice
again.
to
What
see
is
you.
it, the first Monday in June?
So.
First Monday in
So do you want to
questions?
change that motion instead of signing to approve it?
To approve it.
Paul, can you, redo your motion to just say not sign it, but just to approve?
I, reword my motion to we approve the
Agreement,
packet agreement,
the agreement.
the agreement. Is that all right?
Yes.
There you go. God, I made
Do you have
it
a
for
second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Holy smokes, this
All
thing
right,
is so
page
long.
35.
I'm trying to get there. My
Next
finger's
time you have an
smoking.
agreement this long, I'm gonna email it separately to you guys.
I don't want it.
Holy smokes. All right, 35, packet 2, 35. There we go, got it.
Got it?
Jackie Brown.
All right, I need a motion to approve and sign the warrant for the annual town election submitted by Jackie Brown.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abatement for the fire, submitted by the fire chief for the month of February 2015 in the amount of $66,110.58. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve that
Second.
abatement.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Kim.
All right, we have something here to, if I can get there.
I gotta soak my finger in water, the friction from sliding up the screen. It's smoking.
Okay, where is it?
There's one here that is the,
Is it, it doesn't have a cover
Right
sheet,
here.
just a light,
this one, Tommy built.
no, we're not on that one yet.
You're on the Stop and
We
Shop.
need to, yeah, but there's no cover letter, right? Just
For a Stop and Shop, no, there's not.
okay, there's no cover letter, I was looking for it.
No.
Sign an agreement with Stop and Shop to use the bypass road for the 4th of July parade.
Make a motion, we sign that agreement.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have liability insurance in place.
All right, but it says, the license granted herein shall be effective only on Saturday, July 4th, 2015. What happens if the parade is postponed because of rain or something? Remember when we talked about this the last time, we said that it would
It
only
rained.
be on, it would be, we wouldn't put a date certain, we would just put on,
Yeah. Good to-
And last time it rained, it was postponed.
right.
Pray for sun.
You want to just add, or any date thereafter?
No, they won't buy
Might
that.
be continued to.
The license granted herein shall be effective for the 4th of July parade, Only.
2015.
2015. Then it's just for that parade, and it's whenever that date is, which we would tell them in advance. It's not like we're gonna wake up and say, okay, the parade's tomorrow. We would know in advance.
So the motion is to sign it with the adjustment.
Right.
Okay.
I make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And if that doesn't meet their approval, then somebody's gonna have to come back and tell us what does. All right.
From 75 to 150. So,
Okay, discuss raising residential solar permit. $75 to $150.
50, right.
What is the board's pleasure? And,
Based on the recommendation from Mr. Barbado, the building commissioner.
Correct.
The number of times they have to go back for these.
it looks like they have to go out at least 3 times.
Yeah,
Okay,
he felt that it was fair and it was up to what the other towns are charging.
okay.
So I'd make a motion that we raise that solar permit to $150.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, signing of an event notification form for Saturday, May 22nd through Monday, May 25th for the St. John Newman Church Lakeside Family Festival and Motorcycle Run. When did they add that? Do they always do a motorcycle run? I didn't know that.
They've done it for the last few years.
All right, looks like the fire department as well as the local police department have signed off on it. Usually, usually the building department goes and checks on the mechanical, rides and things like that to ensure they're safe. And also, I believe, you guys work there flipping hamburgers.
I think it's a prerequisite to get the permit, say
All
that
right.
has to go cook
I
hamburgers.
thought so too.
That's the
Okay.
way I thought it was.
From the Board of Health,
Yes.
so we probably should have 2 more signs on here.
That one's just for the state form. You'll also have another form from them later on,
Okay.
the Sunday entertainment form. But they haven't submitted that one yet.
Okay.
They usually submit both of them together, but they haven't submitted the other one yet.
All right, so do I have a motion from the board?
Make a motion, we approve
Second.
All those in favor?
those prerequisites that you mentioned.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and make sure they come in, otherwise I don't get the permit to do that, so,
Okay.
all
All
right.
in favor? Aye.
He's calling.
Well, you said it and then nobody answered you. But I wanna, can I comment?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Has nothing to do with
Say
the
no,
permit.
just to see what happens.
Right, no, you can't, no, I said.
I wanna invite you to flip hamburgers with us.
Okay.
Huh? You'll
I
enjoy
like
it, it was a lot of fun.
I like doing that.
All right,
Sure.
but you can't tell anybody about the ones we burned.
I still can't believe those people thought they were the best hamburgers they ever had. That's what they were coming back telling us. I think they were paying them to do
I
that,
don't know.
so we'd stay there.
Oh, those are my friends.
You were paying to say it, right?
What's the date? I gotta get over and watch this.
Jack, you better be quiet, you'll be back there too.
You'll be flipping hamburgers.
I've done it before.
May 22nd through the 25th.
Okay.
All right, approved Board of Selectmen minutes, December 2nd, January 12th, 15th, and February 2nd.
Motion to approve as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Come on in.
Okay, discuss article regarding OPEB. OPEB.
Other people's,
Well, that's the other pension,
other pension, and
other than the pension liability.
Other post,
Post, yeah.
post,
yeah, other
let's get it right.
post-employment benefits.
Benefits, other
Yeah, sure.
post-employment benefits.
Should I bring 2 chairs up for treasurer and town accountant?
Sure.
Yeah, let me get them, I'll get the chairs for you. You got them?
You keep approving these, but I don't get any. Why is that?
Yep.
Hi. Girls,
Hello.
how are you?
Good.
So we would like for you to discuss
Open.
OPEB.
Okay, this sort of started from the article that was in, I guess, the Standard Times that Paul had given to me, about a collaborative effort with Plymouth County to create an OPEB trust to pool resources from different communities, counties, to try and get some economies of scale for investment and management of the plan assets. Currently, you guys have done $100,000 towards your OPEB liability. It sounds like a lot of money, but you have a $15 million liability, so it's
Good
gonna
problem.
take.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, exactly. So, the idea would be to think about maybe moving towards a collaborative option for investment of the OPEB money. Certainly, if there could be some consideration given to adding to that 100,000 that you currently have,
Is this,
that'd be
is
great.
this, can I just interrupt you, say, is this where the money goes to the bank? And they invest?
Now, we've got 2 options that we've been discussing. One's the state, one's the Plymouth County option.
Plymouth County option, isn't that?
Yeah.
And they're using, I believe, US Bank.
And the
for
banks,
the
we can't
investment.
invest it, but we can put it in a fund in the bank, and the bank invests it. 'Cause
Exactly.
currently, they're
Based-
getting 2 or 3%.
currently, we're not getting even close.
No,
Oh,
they are.
I don't know what
I
they're
think
getting,
that's
they're
what I read.
relatively new.
We get nothing. I think they've been averaging 2%, so that's pretty good, yeah.
So far, based on the deposit initially, we've only earned $60.02
Ooh,
since that was put in, so.
I think it's probably a good move to get involved in that.
yeah, one of them.
So the other option that you could consider would be the state option, which is PRIT, where they invest the retirement money.
Do you know
There's a-
what PRIT stands for?
What was that acronym?
P-R-I-T.
I do not know off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Yeah.
IT, right?
In order to join into that one, that takes a $250,000 minimum amount.
You'd have to front us the money, Paul.
I don't think you're that far away, to be honest with you. You do have 100,000. You also have another fund called unfunded pension, which has 61,495 in it. I'm not really sure why you folks have that unfunded pension.
I think I can shed some light on it, because based on the time that you did that, I think a lot of Bristol County communities were doing the same thing, because the county wasn't keeping up with the unfunded, or doing anything significant about the unfunded liability. Westport also, in the same time frame, set aside some money. They did it for a number of years, 5 years. And I recommended, and Westport chose to follow the recommendation to put that money in an OPEB account, to start their OPEB account. So I think we'd recommend that the, that the board take action to put an article on the warrant to transfer this money from that pension fund to the OPEB fund. Right now, the county is on track to fully fund the pension liability by 2029. And so our pension liability is getting taken care of. We're taking care of it.
Yeah, because
With the
they
county.
add a certain amount every
Right,
year.
every year,
Right.
right. So it's getting taken care of, it's the OPEB that's not. And so we've been talking about, in addition to moving the 61,495 over to join that lonely 100,000 we've got there now, we've been talking this week about, and last week, the end of last week, the three of us about assigning $100,000 on a budget line, and then transferring 100,000 of free cash when the free cash is certified, so that twice each year you put 100,000 aside in the OPEB fund.
And move that money to one of these trusts. Move it
Yeah,
to the next-
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
What do you know about PRIT, Jack?
Pension reserves investment.
That's a
Trust,
state-
trust, investment trust.
I was gonna say
And the
pension.
state
retirement
manages that,
investment
or the
trust.
state manages who invests? You said that's
Well,
a
it's
state.
it's a management board. I just looked it up.
Yeah,
It's the same setup as the one that was in the newspaper for the county that was doing, right?
I think they have a
They had their own
different
board.
group, but
Right,
yeah,
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 it's
it's
the
the
same type
same
of setup.
principle,
yeah.
exactly.
So, I think that is the collective recommendation that we'd make to you, is that in the budget process, we consider, and the board eventually takes some action with regard to establishing a regular system of paying into public employment benefits. By the way,
What's our liability in that again, Jack?
15 million?
15,118.
This is basically, or primarily, the medical liability. The,
Yeah,
you know,
health, dental,
health
and
and-
life insurance.
Right.
This is a system the reason this is being done is years ago, the federal government came out with standards, correct? On, and required municipalities
Well, FASB,
Yeah,
yeah.
to fund these liabilities. So
Right,
it just
because
doesn't
they do
carry.
exist.
They do
We
exist,
just
they
haven't
ju-
been required to
Right.
report them.
Right.
Mhm.
Now they have to be reported.
Correct.
So we got two issues here, basically. We have the issue of, what do we do with the 100,000 right now? We shouldn't be leaving it where it is. We should move it out. So we have to make a decision on where we can
We
move that.
have to have a minimum, 250.
Up to
Or to go
150,000.
into PRIT, you know, go into PRIT.
Right, so we have to have a warrant article to remove the 61 or whatever,
Yeah, just.
Move it
to
in.
add it to what we have currently,
Right.
and then to increase that, do another warrant article for another 100.
Right.
Well, you would need at least 88,444
Right.
in order to get to
To
the
give it
250, if you
okay.
wanted to consider that option.
Yeah, that way there we can get it invested in the right place.
Yeah. I think the important thing here is to think in terms of a regular process annually.
Yeah.
And it's less painful, I think, if you do a budget line. Most towns are moving in that direction. A budget line and then a transfer of free cash.
One thing that you do want to keep in mind is if you are going to be going out to the bond market at some point, this hasn't been an issue in the past because it was relatively new and communities are trying to figure out how to deal with it, but a lot of communities are getting on board with some type of regular funding. So the rating agencies are starting to look at, not that you fully funded, but that you have a plan in place to address the issue and that you are going to make some forward movement on reducing that liability.
And if the plan involves both the line item, budget line item and a piece of free cash, it's gonna be looked at favorably by rating agencies. And if we ever have enough money to pay debt service and go out for a major project, that'll stand us in good stead in terms of getting a rating.
What do we have left in the court judgment? How many years? 2?
This is the last year, you mean, if it was ended?
Yeah.
This is, we have one more payment after the
After
year
this
we're in.
year, right.
Next July 1st, I think we have our last payment.
So that would be a perfect time,
Perfect.
since we're already committing $200,000 towards that, then that line item would just change, it would change names.
It
We
would be seamless.
It would, you know what I mean, and we wouldn't feel it as much, I mean, we'll feel it this year, but then next year, when that goes away, we can just rename that line item and do it that way.
Yeah.
Good idea, Madam Chair.
I mean, it's just like,
We haven't got the money now, we won't miss it.
right,
That's it.
right.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll make a motion that we set up 2 articles,
Well, we're,
or we'll wait for that?
yeah,
Okay.
so we'll just direct the 3 of you to create 2 articles so we can vote on them when we open up our article submission. Okay? And then we'll work in that direction.
So we leave it in your capable hands.
All right.
All right,
Liability of 15 million sits right there,
okay. We're good until,
guy. How do you feel now?
you can sit tight for 15 minutes? All right,
Absolutely.
perfect, thank you. All right,
But we'll move it though, right? Out of the way.
Want to smoke?
you can stay right there, I don't
No,
mind.
it's okay.
You can even go back
Yeah,
and read
the
it.
Blackstone Valley contingent.
All right, so, we're gonna be meeting with Blackstone Valley Systems, and that will be you guys?
That's Emily.
Should we sit up there?
Yeah, that would be great.
Grab a chair. An extra chair. You want it? Emily, you gotta introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm Emily Woods. I'm the management consultant at BVOS. I've been working on an assessment for the town over the past couple months with my colleague Nicole. She's sick, so she couldn't be here. This is Zach Allman. He's our account executive for all government, education, and municipality accounts. And then Brian is our manager at the office.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Sorry for being late. We apologize.
I'm Lisa, that's Lee, and that's Paul.
I'm Jack, and this is Ali. And did I get your names again?
Zachary Allman. And Brian Pendleton.
So we appreciate you letting us speak at your meeting today. did present this to Ally and to Jack, actually just about a month ago. We felt like it was something important to bring to the board, so if you don't mind, we'll go through it together. So we're going to start off with an overview of our company, who we are, what sets us apart, talk about the criteria that we looked at for the town when doing our assessment in regards to your document management, what was important to you, go over what the current situation is here in terms of your devices, and then talk about our proposed solution. This proposal here talks about our managed print services, and then afterwards Zach is going to go into some pricing for a new Xerox copier as well.
Does anybody want to cover anything else or have any questions?
No, we'll follow you.
Okay.
Alright. So first here we have our team. 3 of us are sitting right here. Got myself, Zach will be helping manage the account, as well as Brian, our manager. We have our service manager, James Jaworski, sits in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and all of our service techs cover Rhode Island as well as Southeast Mass, this area of Mass as well. And he oversees that, and then our VP of sales will also be helping out on this account, as a higher up as well. So BVOS was bought by Xerox about 6 years ago, and the reason being they liked the way that we handle the small and medium business market and the way that we have local service and local presence. So now we have the buying power and the backing of a large corporate organization, but yet we're run locally, decisions are made locally, and we have local autonomy, so we can be a lot more flexible, a lot more responsive, in terms of what our customers' needs are. So Xerox has been positioned as the leader in managed print services. They've been doing it for the longest, and they do it the best. We simply deliver on what we say that we will. So I'll go into it later in the presentation as well, but managed print services is basically us service and supplying all of your output devices, so copiers, printers, fax machines. So we took a look at everything that the town prints, how much they're printing, how much they're spending, and we're actually looking at a cost reduction, and we're taking, kind of various ways of purchasing and, dealing with service, and we're going to turn it into, one monthly invoice and one vendor to look at for all of that. So that way we're taking it off of the town's thing.
Question, you say the town's needs, did you include just the offices within the town hall? Did you include police and fire?
Yep, so we looked at the town hall, police and fire, this building as well, the library.
You looked at the library?
Yes. The library's included. I'm sorry, what?
Highway department?
Oh, yes, and the DPW, yeah.
There's a couple of slides that
Yeah,
list all
in
the
the bottom.
devices
Yep.
later in
Yeah.
it, so you can see which ones, and if we missed any, we can certainly go back.
So we do pride ourselves on our customer service and our ability to support. They did just recently announce about 20% of our service calls are solved over the phone. So what that means for you is increased uptime. So if it's something that our help desk technician can help you with, solve it over the phone, maybe it's a couple setting issues, that means that you're up and running faster and you don't need to wait for a tech to come out. If it's not something that can be solved over the phone, a tech has already been dispatched, and the service tech will come out, diagnose the problem and fix it on the spot. Whether you need a new part, a cleaning, anything like that would be covered.
So really what it's helping the town do is alleviate any outsourced IT or IT professionals they have on hand. It's now alleviating them from fixing printer-related issues, and they can focus on more things within the town that would be valuable, like the IT infrastructure, the servers, updating technology, whatever that might be. It's really to help release that burden off of them and have them focus on more beneficial things to the town.
So one thing that sets our service department apart from some of our competitors is the way that our techs are incentivized. So they're actually incentivized on the amount of impressions, the amount of clicks, or the amount of time between service calls. So what that means is they want to keep you up and running for as long as possible. So when they come out for, say your printer is jamming, they come out for that, they're actually going to do a 25-point checklist and look at everything with the printer, because they don't want to come out now for this problem and come back in a couple of days for something else. They want to keep you up and running as long as possible, whereas a lot of other companies, they want you to close calls as fast as possible. Ours are really going to take the time, do it right the first time. they go and don't have to call them.
So one of the criteria is the amount of impressions that the printer puts out.
Yes, so it's like number,
If they got there and said we had a problem, and a week later, we'd be at the documented impressions, what he needed, so they would do the service then,
yeah, I mean, you
and
get,
save themselves a trip back.
right, you do get unlimited service, so we'll come out as much as needed, but the idea is for
Costs
you to
money
be,
come out for nothing.
It's more that they're being more thorough when they're out here, because our competitors will come out and fix the problem at hand versus, okay, the jam's gone, we cleared the jam, we're out of here, versus when our technicians come out, they have to. So like a lot of times they'll be like, they were here for so long, well, they're actually there for longer periods of time when they do come out to do that 25-point checklist, to check the rollers, to check the feed units, to check the fusers. So they have to go through that list before they can leave versus what others do, like Emily said, they try to clear that call as quick as possible and move on to the next. They're incentivized to keep you up and running for either the total amount of time or the amount of copies in between service calls. But we do come out, once again, if there's, say they do their 25-point checklist and the end user says, hey, it's still acting up and they place another call, it's not like they can't place another call. It's just us being proactive and as thorough as possible. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
right. So some of the criteria we looked at, the main goal is to reduce the overall printing expenses here in the town.
And we're on this page now, just so that people can follow along.
More criteria. We want reliable and timely service. We want to improve the ordering and billing efficiency. And then we also want to show some options for upgrading the current technology here at the town as well. So a breakdown of the current situation here. So this encompasses every town entity. The copiers are doing just under 18,000 prints a month. And you guys can take a look at this. You do have some inkjets as well in the town, but the majority of your color is being printed on LaserJet printers, about 2,200, and this is every month. And then in terms of costs, the main reason we're here, spending about $14,000 a year on the copiers. You do own your copiers, but that's all maintenance costs, so you pay a service for service agreements, for toner, for service. And then the printers, you're
We
paying.
gave you these numbers?
Yes, we did some thorough research to validate all of these numbers.
I believe you.
Yeah, so we looked at every single contract that you have, and we have the breakdowns as well. We looked at every single contract that you have for service, and then for the printers, we looked at every single invoice over the past year for toner, ink, any parts like drums, maintenance kits as well. And you're up to almost to about $14,500 a year on the printers. So that would be desktop printers like the HPs, whereas copiers are the large, standalone multi-functions. Any questions about this?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi. Where did you get your data about the library?
So we only went to one library, I should clarify, which is the one right across from Town Hall. And we actually just took a look at all of the printers and devices there, and that's how we gathered the information.
Did you mean statistical data or cost data or both?
Both.
So the cost data would have come from the town, which is
Yeah.
what we just validated, went over on the bottom page here. And the statistical data comes off of the device itself. So when you walk up to the device, when you walk up to the device, it actually prints out a page that provides you make, model, serial number, page count, etc. And then we also, excuse me, we had an application running on the town server that picked up the statistical data automatically for us, which we're going to run through in a minute. I can certainly give you a copy as well.
I don't think I'm not saying the one library wasn't included, but the main library in Freetown was not included at all.
Dorothy is the
I'm
library
the
director,
director.
and
It was not included, nor was I told about the one across from the town hall.
and the library across from the town hall is the one that gets the lowest amount of
Okay.
usage.
So we would be happy to come back and make sure that we're thorough.
And the one in Freetown, we have a service contract, I don't know if you're aware of that, where we don't have one in Assonet. So there are a lot of diverging numbers there.
Okay.
Well, the service contract that you have in East Freetown,
Yes,
would that be paid through our regular,
it's paid from
Account-
our budget.
but through our regular accounting system?
yes.
So they would have picked up, I'm sure they would have picked up the data for that.
Yes.
We have the data.
But I think we weren't sure if the other library was part of East Freetown. I mean, Ally, do you remember this?
The other library, I know you didn't go to the other library.
Yeah.
You just went to the Hathaway Library, but
Right.
it was, I know you didn't go to the White Library.
Right.
But she did include your contract that you had within all the numbers.
The cost of
Yeah.
Yep.
It would just be the monthly usage that you don't have for
Right,
the
we're
White
missing a
Library.
little bit of volume from your library.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And it sounds like that should be included, correct? Okay.
Okay. So we'll have to definitely come back to that. So these spreadsheets, this is all the information that we've gathered in terms of what your average monthly volumes are at all the devices here, minus the one library. So it just breaks out, you know, who's printing, how much color is being printed, and in what areas. And this has enabled us to make a recommendation for, you know, what devices are going to fit the best, which ones we can service as they are, and we're actually recommending to give some new, brand new printers as well to replace some of the old antiquated printers as well as some of the inkjets.
And we got pretty creative with it because, as you know, town budgets are tight, so printers aren't usually on the top priority list to be replaced. So we do have a program going on now where we were able to include a couple of free printers because we're pushing business as much as possible. And there are a few programs within municipalities and towns and schools that we're able to do that for.
So this is an overview of what the managed print services are on the next page, right after the two tables of printers. So basically, it's similar to the service contracts you have on your copiers now. It's an all-inclusive contract with a volume allowance based on what we found here, and it includes unlimited toner, service, parts, maintenance kits, drums, anything that could possibly go wrong with the printer we would cover.
Everything but paper and staples.
Staples.
You just want to clarify. Some people go, well, the staples aren't included.
So some benefits of this program, you can actually adjust the volume over the course of the term. So, like I mentioned before, you guys own all of your copiers now, so maybe some will be replaced over the years, and the volume on your desktop printers may change. You know, you may, if say you get a new copier in town hall, maybe less volume will be going to the printers. Down the road, we'll assess that with you and see if we want to make any adjustments to the contract based on, you know, how your volume is changing, or, you know, say down the road they come out with a software and all of a sudden you guys don't need to print as much through accounting, we can lower the volume on the contract according to how how the town is changing as well.
So it is a little bit different than most contracts that you're used to because it does allow you for flexibility, whereas you're not locked in for a 3, 4, or 5 year term where you can't make adjustments, which is nice. So if we do quarterly business reviews, which I'm sure I might be stealing some of Emily's thunder, but we do quarterly business reviews, so if we find that volume has increased or decreased, we don't want you to pay for something you're not using. So it does allow us to come in and adjust that. So we know in certain departments, I'm sure like the tax assessor, they fluctuate, so they might be higher or lower throughout different seasons. So we do account for that, and we can adjust it at any time moving forward so that you're not locked in and set in stone.
Alright, so here's a breakdown. So the top page is our printer refresh program, so printers that we will be replacing throughout the town with these brand new printers that are pictured below. And the bottom half of the page is the cost analysis. So there is a $200 a month savings, which is almost $2,400 for the year. And that includes 35,000 black and white impressions per month and 3,200 color impressions per month. Those volumes are based on the volumes that we found that you print during our assessment. What that includes is the 9 free printers that are listed above, which are the town's to own, and then this includes unlimited toners, parts, maintenance kits, repairs, as well as all shipping and handling of the toner and everything that you could need. Now, do you have any questions about this? And what this means?
My first question comes to mind is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My first question is, what do you do with our copy machines?
It's a great question. So this proposal right here is just about your desktop printers. So we wanted to keep it slightly separate. So we're just analyzing what you spent on ink and toner on your desktop printers versus our managed print services program for your desktop printers. The copy machines are a little bit different because you own them. They kind of need to be put into the budget. They're a new purchase. Whereas this proposal is based on money that you're already spending, buying toner, buying ink, buying parts. So it's more of a management savings service program versus actually purchasing new equipment. So Zach's wanting to get into an option for getting new equipment in the town, but it may be a little bit more of a process because it's an investment to make in something new, whereas this is a service agreement on stuff you're currently doing.
Okay, so I get this right in my head. You're gonna, these figures and these costs take care of everything we have, including the existing copiers and so forth that we have in the town?
No.
No.
Oh,
So
this
it's
is
just,
just for
it's
the
managing
printers?
the assets, the printers,
That's
just the
it.
desktop printers that you already own and you're spending money on today.
That's
The
it.
copiers are a separate entity at this time, just because you own your copiers and you have a maintenance contract on those. So we didn't touch those because typically, like Emily said, that's usually a capital expense, or I'm not sure how the town does, I don't wanna make assumptions. But that's usually a larger purchase. These are managing your assets a little bit more efficiently and streamlining things to make it one budgeted line item moving forward, so that as a town, municipality, you know exactly what you're gonna spend on your printing assets moving forward, rather than $100 here, $150 here, and you have an idea, I'm sure you have an idea of what you're spending, but it lets you at least budget for that line item and say, for the next year, we are gonna spend exactly $1,500 a month, or I made that number up, so it wasn't off of this, but 1,007, say it again? 1,017 per month moving forward, whereas now it can sometimes be up and down.
So all
It
of,
has
Go
nothing
ahead,
to
I'm
do,
sorry.
it has nothing to do with our photocopy machines.
For the big copiers, no, there is a small piece that we did include on one of the areas, possibly two of the areas. But this particular piece is just on managed print services for your desktop units that you own, and we will manage and service and supply for you at a lower cost. Right now is IT, I think.
Just the IT department?
Yeah, no contract on them. So right now, you're just, what's happened is, as far as I know, maybe you can touch on it better, Emily, is you're buying toner from different places.
every department buys.
So
toner
one-stop
separately.
shopping.
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
you get that buying power.
I'm cut and dry, thanks.
Yeah.
Alright.
So basically, we'll cover every printer that you have, plus we're replacing some. So this way, every printer that's not listed on a refresh sheet, those are yours. We just put our service sticker on them, and now we're servicing and supplying them for you. Plus, we're giving you these to replace the few that are inefficient or old, and that way we're really managing the whole fleet, and you're right, one-stop shop. Anytime anyone needs toner, they call the number on the sticker, or service or a part, they call the number on the sticker, and that's all included in the one monthly payment you have.
So right now, you're currently not getting service on the printers, either IT or you're having to outsource it if you need it. That would be included, and you're getting almost $3,000 worth of printers that are included in this as well. Yours don't.
You're saying that you would save us $200 a month
Yes.
versus what we spent this past year?
Just on toner, yes. You're currently just spending on toner and somebody else's time managing the printers, and we're gonna save $200 and include the service as well as the new hardware as well for you.
So you're talking about $12,000, you cover all our printers, all the toner, all the service.
Hey, guys, can you just lower a little tiny bit? Thanks.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So that's $12,000 a year, right? Approximately $12,000 a year.
You're currently paying about $12,000 a
Plus
year.
is monthly payment, new solution, monthly payment.
So your new monthly payment with us will be $1,017,
Yeah,
and what you're currently paying now
right.
through the à la carte version is $1,250. So we are lowering the payment as well as including more and allowing it to be a budgeted item.
Synopsis, 9 free printers, unlimited tone, unlimited part, unlimited maintenance kits, repair printers, and 6 shipping and half.
Yes.
35,000 BMW impressions per month. I used to be a press room manager of the newspapers.
Oh, okay.
I correlate to impressions.
Impressions, okay.
Trust me, so.
It's copies, images, impressions, you never know what to use.
What's your turnaround time for repairs?
So we have an average 4-hour turnaround time / response time.
That's in the contract?
Yep.
But as Emily mentioned, 25% of repairs can be solved over the phone. So we like to have our customers call the help desk prior to submitting a call to a technician to see if the problem can be resolved over the phone prior to.
You have some questions?
Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
What kind of maintenance are we talking about on a printer? Because these printers that they make today virtually are disposable. I just had one last 3 months and that printer head went and you couldn't replace it. So what kind of maintenance would you be offering us on problem that I just had? The printer head went and it said, right, I called the company and they said, we don't replace the printer head. And it was an HP printer.
Okay, so I don't know do you know specifically what the model was? Because there are so what we do is we do provide service on maintenance kits, fusers, drums, rollers, anything any mechanism board inside the printer. Typically,
6100.
I'm sorry.
HP 6100.
So is an inkjet.
It's an inkjet.
Yeah. So there are, and not to get too off track here, because as you mentioned, you're cut and dry.
I am,
Cut
not
to the
everybody
chase.
is.
One of the things is there are printers that they make that are very inexpensive to purchase, like an inkjet. So they're very inexpensive, but the cost to operate them is much more expensive than a laser jet printer or maybe a more expensive printer. So it's kind of that razor and razor blade model where you buy the cheap razor, but then the razor blades are twice as expensive. So that's, yeah. But the printers itself, so the lower end printers, we have actually replaced a few, I think you mentioned 9.
Yes.
So 9 of them that were very costly to operate or were aging or might break in the near future. Emily has been proactive and replaced the printers. But we do perform annual maintenances, so if that's something that the town would like to do once a year during maybe before tax season, if that's something that office would like to see, we do preventative maintenances throughout the year. In school systems, we do it twice a year. But we do a lot of different maintenance kits, rollers, fusers, drums, and any feed units, rollers, like I said, within the unit. But there are the different calibers of printers. So yes, sometimes there are some devices, which Emily took a look at on the list, that we aren't able to manage because the cost of to replace exceeds the cost. I'm sorry, the cost to fix them exceeds the cost to replace. So we did take a look at those assets on the list.
We do buy the lower cost ones because they're used by our patrons and they get used a lot and abused. So we don't
Exactly.
Sink a lot of money into a laser printer, for example, for the patrons. It's not cost effective for us.
Well, it sometimes with a cost analysis, it does depend, because on an inkjet printer, you can spend anywhere from 6 to 8 cents a page on a printer, because it actually takes all the cartridges to make black. So even when you're printing a black and white page, you're still using the tricolor ink cartridge. Whereas moving on this program, and I apologize, what's the rate moving on this one? The cost per page?
It's 012 and 13.
So you're moving to just above a penny, so 0.012, and 0.12. So you're moving extremely, you're saving a significant amount of money than just using an inkjet, which is more like 6 to 8 cents, if not higher sometimes, depending on the coverage. So it's just dependent on if you have the money, like you said, to purchase a printer like that, maybe $500, $600. You don't have the money, so you maybe buy something that's
$69.
correct, but you throw it away, you fill the landfills. I don't know if there's a sustainability in
What
it.
brand ink you're using? Generic, HP, what's the brand?
So we use, I don't know if you want to take it, do you want me to
Go
take it?
for it.
So we use two different, we have HP Genuine, and we do use generic ink as well. So we use the generic, but one of the things about the program is if you go ahead and you buy generic ink offline, you don't know what you're getting. So we manage over 25,000 printers across Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and 95% of our customers use our generic ink. It's LMI tested, they have a 99% effective rate. One of the reasons why we use that is because we're confident, you mentioned service before, we're confident in the generic toner because if we put bad toner in your printers and we ruin a printer, which isn't often, we owe you a brand new printer. So it's in our best interest to use the highest quality toner in the device. Whereas if you go out and just buy it on your own without having a contract with somebody, you take a risk of ruining the printer and they're not going to stand behind it. So if we ruin a printer, ruin a device, whatever it might be with the toner, we have to fix the printer or get you a brand new one. So we do use both.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Question.
Sure.
Let's say you have our contract.
Yeah.
Dorothy calls you. The service guy has to come out. And she has the situation that she just had. What do you guys do if you can't fix the printer?
So what's it, help me understand a little bit better. So you mean the inkjet that she had that,
Yeah, let's say.
You can't fix her
you
printer,
can't
what are
fix
you
the
gonna
printer.
do
What are
for her?
you gonna do for us?
well, we don't manage the inkjet printers.
You don't manage the inkjet. So that inkjet printer is not gonna be in existence if we contract with you, that's gonna be replaced?
Correct, we replace the printers with laser printers, which are much more cost effective than the
Jet
inkjet.
printers, they give you the printer, you tell you to ink it.
Yeah.
After I left the printing business, I got into the ink
Correct,
business.
so,
And there was $1.5 billion company. One of the divisions we made was inkjet. We used to sell it in 55-gallon drums for $5,000. It was the most expensive ink we sold. By the time it got put on paper, it was worth $50,000. That same.
good business, right?
Tremendous purpose.
I haven't even heard that.
So yeah, the laser jets will replace the inkjets or things that we can't.
Okay.
But if we were to come out and something wasn't able to be replaced, to fully answer your question, one of the things that we do is we do have a loaner pool. So just say that the printer is completely fried. What we do is we would provide you a loaner for the remainder of the contract to make sure that, you said Dorothy, her department is up and running.
That's the library you missed,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
you have to look at that at some point.
Do you have any other questions, Paul?
No.
Lee,
So am I. I think it was a great
did you
presentation.
just wanna,
Emily?
do you have any, you wanna add to
Xerox,
it?
the copy.
Oh, yeah, I have that proposal, yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to.
Yeah. Are there any questions about the managed print services?
No.
What are your thoughts on it?
This came out of left field, so I'm just trying to soak it all in right now.
Okay. I did email this presentation a couple of weeks ago or so.
I didn't know we were looking for this, so that's why I'm saying that this was new.
Yeah.
No
So I
problem.
just wanna
Yeah.
find out more about what's going on.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
And we're happy to do follow-up or anything,
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
No, your presentation was great, you answered a lot of questions, now I just have to find out
It's a new
why
concept
are
that,
you here?
ultimately to save the town money if possible.
Yep.
Go ahead.
We're always up for that.
Yeah.
It was a eye opener for me because I didn't know they did this much printing.
Well, that's typically either the amount of assets or the number of impressions, to your point. A lot of times it is surprising.
So I'm gonna do my best to follow up that wonderful presentation.
Another one?
Yeah, we gotta get going though, so,
I'll keep it very brief.
all right, thanks.
So to start out, I have a very similar side to what Emily said about how we keep it local with the national buying power. As far as security on the machine, one thing that we do that sets us apart is our overwrite. So any documents passing through proprietary town information will be overwritten by the machine, so it won't be left on the hard drive once the machine is returned or at the end of life. Your information won't be sitting on the machine.
You can have it daily, hourly, whatever it might be, but it is important, and not all machines do that currently. So when your machines go back to leasing companies, they end up in other places, and sometimes the data is
So I like to bring that up to, especially towns. Customer replaceable units, that essentially means that for drums, fusers, you can replace them yourselves. So if you, a tech's still happy to do it, but if you are comfortable replacing it yourself, it eliminates the downtime of having a tech on site replacing the part. So currently the Xerox Work Center 5335 is the machine you're demoing in the town clerk area. So it's a 35 page per minute. It has a color scan capability. It is black and white. And I think it was it Ally who emailed us about, for the treasurer's office, a small desktop copier, and that's the Xerox 3615, a 30 page per minute black and white copier, also with color scan.
So they print in black and white, they scan in color.
So I broke out the pricing a couple different ways. First pricing here is the price to purchase. As you can see, the 5335 is $5,100, and the Xerox 3615 is $900, and that's the price to purchase to own it. The 5335 includes the finisher and the stapler on it. This also includes shipping, installation, and unlimited training. And BVOS can defer your billing to July 1st. So you have the machine now, you would get to keep it, and the town would not see the billing on it until they've set their budget.
Just to kind of touch on, if there's any questions, but is that department, as far as we know, I know we've stopped in there or emailed, it seems like they're happy with the machine in that area, which always is the first test. Okay.
Can these copies also act as printers?
Yes.
Yes, they can.
Fully networkable.
Wirelessly?
Yep, so we can network them, and you can print right to them, whether it's from a laptop, a desktop, an iPad. There's Apple AirPrint on them, so you have the capability to print from iPads as well.
Yes, so currently that machine is not networked, and it's just being used as a copier. However, if the town were to provide us with a network drop or said they would like to print.
This is the price of the machine complete?
Correct.
5,100?
Yes.
Okay.
No
And
addition.
900 for the other?
Yes. The next option is a leasing option. 60-month fair market value lease for the 5335 is $117 per month. It includes all the same thing as the purchase price. And the way we do monthly payments on the smaller copiers is we actually have a printer placement program. It's very similar to what Emily can do in replacing some of your older aging printers. So rather than paying a lease on a cheaper, smaller copier and paying a lot of interest, you simply pay to have the device on site, and that's $60 a month, includes consumables. And after 39 months, the town will own that machine.
You don't have to go out to a third-party financing company. Essentially, we're taking it in-house and saying, here you go, you don't have to go through US Bank or GE Capital or anything like that. It's an in-house document that just says, hey, $60 a month, you get all consumables, the hardware, all inclusive, similar to your copiers now or the printer program we talked about, and it's all inclusive, and you don't have to either put up the capital dollars of $900 a month and pay for service, or you can just do the $60 a month and get it all inclusive.
But you're only talking about these two printers?
In this particular, we kind of went off the lead of the two copiers that were requested, yes. If there's others,
So this is we got a small one in the treasurer's office, where's the other one?
Actually, the larger one is upstairs.
It's upstairs.
Town clerk.
It's outside the town.
Oh, so it's not in the
accountant's
town
office.
clerk's office?
No, it's the
No.
town accountant.
Okay.
Outside the town accountant, building inspector in there.
And what about,
In our
so it has nothing to do with the one that we have in our office, that isn't working right?
No,
That's not working right?
that's not working.
we
no.
can
No, we're
certainly
using-
add it at any time.
Yeah.
We're using the one in the hallway. That-
I use
yeah.
the one in the hallway.
There you go. We got one that's not working.
So any more questions before I move on
Yeah,
to
that's
the
right.
maintenance? So the maintenance option, we can do a zero-base maintenance, which means you pay as you use. So we can
Pay in
build,
arrears for whatever impressions.
so we can build a town monthly, quarterly, semi-annually for the usage. We simply use the meter count to do that. And that cost per page, as you see above, the .07 and the .01 on the 3615 includes unlimited service and supplies excluding paper and staples, and staples there again. And this price does include, or does exclude shipping costs per toner, since we won't know how much you'll be printing each part of the year. That's $8 for a shipment of the toner.
There's a couple different ways, just, I don't know if that's a major concern, but you could do flat rate or you could go monthly, but we don't want you to pay for shipping when you don't order anything. So you could do either way.
The reason is because currently it's not networked, so it's being used as a copier only.
Right.
But when it becomes networked, the idea is more volume would go to it, but right now it's hard to calculate how the volume would change. So we could, monitor that after a couple months and see.
So the last option I have here is for a bundled monthly service payment for both machines, the 5335 and the 3615. And that 6,000 page base that I took there was based on a study finding what was used in that area. So that would be a $53 a month charge, and that would include shipping costs for the toner.
Okay, so you take 117 for one machine a month, plus 60 a month. Am I doing this right? And then the service is 53 a month. Does that make it? Am I doing that right?
Yes, so this
117 for the big one.
117 for the big one in the town clerk office, 60 a month for the smaller one in the treasurer office.
And then $53 a month
For service and
for
supplies.
service and supplies for both machines.
Service and supplies for both of the machines, and this $53 a month, because it's a base, includes the shipping costs each month for the toner.
So one of the final thoughts I just wanted to make, because I know we are pressed for time, is both of these proposals are exclusive, they're not, managed print is one piece, copiers are the other, so regardless of if you choose one, both, or none, they are separate, just sometimes they get confused, okay, they're talking about the copiers, they're talking about the printers. These are two separate proposals. If you do, I will point out, just for budgeting purposes, if you do the lease on the copier, we can make it so that you get and I know that this may confuse things, but I just want to throw it out there. You can, if you were to lease it for that $117 a month, we can make it so that it's one bill with your managed print services and your copiers, so that it's one line item, if that's something that you're interested in moving forward, just so that it's one line item.
It'll be easier, yeah.
Not three different bills, you just one thing. So that is possible, very customizable for towns, broken out by department, building, however you want it broken out. We can customize, we're very familiar with it. We break it out by different schools, we break it out by different departments, budget line items, whatever you want it to be, we are able to customize it.
No, we've got plenty of information to chew on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to
We
be
will.
clear, this is
We will.
second
This is
floor
the
and
things going in the
first
box.
floor.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, we
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Apologize for being a few minutes.
No, 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 no.
Appreciate your time, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Emily, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If you want, we can email.
They already have, yeah, they already have this, all of
I
them.
don't wanna hold them all
And
up.
you can see.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right.
Okay, the increase over last year?
Yes, that's to be in alignment with Board of Fire Commissioners requirement of 1.25% increase, so we will keep our certifications and our state aid. I have to put the phone number down on one of the pages. It's the last 3 years, added together, divided by 3.
Which one are we on now?
611. Last 3 years added
Added
together,
together,
divided by
divided
3.
by 3, multiplied by 1.25.
Okay.
That's how you get the increase.
What page are you on?
611.
The last 3 years,
Yes.
added
I
together.
got it, I got it. But
Divided by
there's
3.
more than one page here, I've just gone
No,
over.
we're looking at the budget
1.25.
number right here, 112,
That equals
302.
The increase that they require us to have.
state required increase from.
To retain certification in state aid.
Speaking of state aid, do we know, do you have any inclination, have you got anything through email, if it's gonna be fully funded, or are they gonna cut the state aid?
As far as for FY16,
FY16, and then they did 9C cuts for FY15, have you gotten anything from that?
FY15 is gonna affect my second installment, but not by much, because Debbie Conrad, the Director of Sales, found a new grant per se through the state. It's for under 10,000 population libraries. It's to offset sales membership, and she's doing all the paperwork. I don't have to do anything.
Okay.
And it's gonna give us approximately additional $2,000 a year in state aid. It's a separate fund altogether. It's something new that I think been in existence forever, but nobody knew about until she went digging. So on top of the 8,000, 8,200 I think we're getting in state aid, we're getting an additional 2,000 from this new program.
Is that for this current fiscal year?
Yes. In FY16, it looks like, I did get the cherry sheet last week, it looks like it's level funded, other than the IT, everything looks level funded.
That may change,
Mhm.
but we'll have to keep our eye on it. Questions?
But it did go up this year, because last year we got 7,400, and this year, besides the 2,000, looks like we're getting about 8,200, so we went up by 800, plus the additional 2,000 in that little fund that she found.
Joe, what was that about the certification before? In which line was that?
If we don't get the 1.2% increase every year, we stand a shot of losing our state certification, which means we lose state.
On the total?
Yes, on the total
budget.
budget, 611 and 612 together.
I asked why they went over, because last year was 110 and this year it's at 112. So that's, she explained that she has to add the last 3 years together, divide by 3 and multiply by 1.25%. And that's the minimum that you have to put in
Right.
there in order to receive state aid.
So is it
In
always
order
a
to be
3-year
certified.
Certified, sorry.
Yep.
Certified.
Yeah, because it's a little more important than just state aid, it's the certification.
It's a certification.
So, just to be clear, if you, it's a each year it's a 3-year average. So you take, for example, the FY16, the 15 and 14 budget, you add them, divide by 3, and it's.
Yes,
You
that's
have
what
to
it will
be-
be next year.
So 17, you go 17, 16, 15.
Yes.
Okay, okay, just so,
But you multiply it by 1.25.
Five.
I understand that, okay, yeah. So that's what they're mandating.
That's their formula, yes, that's a
So
mandated formula.
that's a state mandate
Yes,
in order to stay in sales.
yes. It's in order to stay certified.
Certified.
Without certification, you can't get sales, right?
Can't get books.
You can't get your books from other libraries. What our patrons would be only able to do without certification is borrow what's in our 4 walls of our libraries. They wouldn't be allowed to go to any other library in the state.
Right, but so,
And we would also lose the 8,000 plus in state aid.
right. So that's sales, right?
Sales,
Sales is the
Yeah.
computer
Sales-
part of,
sales is a whole bunch of stuff. Sales is the network that we fall under. Down in Cape it's called CLAMS. They help us with cataloging of new materials. They provide the ebooks. We pay for them, but they're the ones who do the purchasing and give the ebooks. Our patrons download the ebooks on their tablets through Sales Network, through the Overdrive. So they got their hands everywhere, sales is.
so you wouldn't, again, if you're not certified, you wouldn't have sales, right? Is
You
that-
could still have sales, but you would lose everything else. You would get your stuff cataloged that you purchased on your own.
Okay.
You would get, you wouldn't get access to the ebooks, but you wouldn't get delivery either because delivery comes from other libraries. So you would get some services that sales provide, but not much at all.
And I think, well, I don't know, most of us remember when we didn't do that. because we had those severe cuts. It
Somebody,
took us a
somebody
while,
locally here lost this.
took us a while to come
Wareham-
back to get
Wareham
that
was
again.
not certified. Yeah.
I have no problem with,
All right.
with the library, 611.
All right, 612.
My 612 doesn't have a summary sheet.
It's on the
No, it's just
cover
on the
sheet,
bottom.
it's on the 611 cover sheet, it's at
Right
the
here.
bottom.
See it?
Oh, it's in the bottom, oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, got it,
612 is the same as it was last year.
okay.
Okay. Any
I have no
questions?
problem with 612 either.
Okay, anybody, go ahead.
The reason that there's 611 and 612 is, are the libraries separate? Or when it comes to it's separate for the money, I can see that. But as far as certification, are they certified separately?
No,
Okay.
it's together.
All right.
And the reason they're separate is virtually, they used to be more separate than they are now, but we broke it down to virtually, it's just the utilities that we pay separate out of the Hathaway now. Before, some of the salaries, it was really, really complicated.
Yeah.
But we broke it down as virtually just the utilities. That's
Well,
why it's
I can remember when it was,
really complicated.
yeah, when you needed to be an
Yeah.
accountant in order to
You
understand
did.
what the salaries were, but
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't.
awful.
Huh?
It was terrible.
Well, actually, we weren't threatened back then either, but after we went through the time without the certification, I can remember that. That was a harsh one for a lot of people. It did take us a while. I think it took us 2 years, or was
Yeah.
it 2 years to come back from that?
2 years.
Yep.
We've been doing well, knock on wood.
All right, everybody go with library?
Good?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
What's
Treasurer?
the,
I would do it now.
This treasurer's gonna be here a while. Sorry,
Thank you.
treasurer's gonna be here a while.
Thank you,
Animal.
everybody. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye, Doug.
And thanks for,
Doug,
no smell, I was there 2 hours.
it's all better.
all right.
I was having a breakdown this weekend.
Diane, that's because you have like 3 things to go
I know, that's
over.
not,
I'm
that's,
sorry.
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
We'll go,
What are we doing next?
animal control, number 292.
291?
292.
The dog and cat.
And Goose, that's why I just was late, I was on a Goose call. My
Boss
feet are
call.
soaked.
Oh, my gosh.
They're freezing.
What do you do? Go swimming from this
Oh,
goose?
just about,
When
yeah,
do we
thank
eat?
you. That's what my husband says.
You chase geese so you can cook them.
Yeah.
They
It,
goose.
it went on somebody's, I didn't answer it yet, that's just my note. It crash burned on somebody's lawn, but couldn't find out it can fly. It has a broken leg, but it can fly, after I walked a mile in the snow.
Send them to Bermuda.
I just said me to Bermuda.
Chase them to
He's taking his own. Right?
Yeah.
Just took out.
Yeah,
So,
so,
and stop chasing horses in my yard too.
yeah, that was Thursday, horses running down Bullock Road. It's been a good week.
Were they yours, Brad?
No, they weren't. They were off the
No,
Snuggles.
everybody,
I know, we're all calling, Brad, you know, what's this all about?"
nope.
It wasn't nice.
Okay, what's going on with
All right, last year you were at $35,441.
Yep.
This year you're at 40,000.
I
10% increase.
am, well, I'm asking for 4 more, to be paid for 4 more hours. To increase from 28 hours to 32 hours.
Why?
Because I'm it, and the state has now implemented kennel inspections. I have a TNR program started. We've done 10 cats so far. I have the spay wagon coming to town once a month if it ever stops snowing. And I don't have an assistant, it's always me, I'm on call 24/7. I don't want full-time because I do work at the police station part of the time, so.
Do you have a call sheet? I mean, do you have when you're logged out?
It goes out through the police station, yeah.
So have there been, I guess my question is, compared to the year before or whatever, you know, is
It's
it?
hard to say because it depends. This week has been crazy. I had horses, I had geese, I had dogs. Sunday I was out catching dogs. They're at the shelter right now, so. Last Sunday I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I answer phone calls sometimes,
I
but,
understand.
so it's kinda hard
Be
to,
more active in the spring than it is in the middle of winter.
definitely, definitely. People aren't really moving around right now, and neither are animals, because of all the snow. But in the springtime, yeah, once everybody, especially after this winter gets out, dogs will be running like crazy. But now I'm trying to, a lot of residents are complaining about cats, so we don't have a shelter for cats.
Do you keep a logbook?
I use everything gets put in the computer at the police station.
It'd be a good idea to keep a logbook.
Well, I have my phone call one, but all the calls that I go, like even that one, I call out where I am, what I'm doing, what the disposition was, and when I clear. I have to call clear.
Is there a way to get that information
Oh, yeah.
downloaded from the record at the police station?
Well, what they do is they print them out for me, so I do have
Okay.
printouts.
Yeah,
and
but
folders full
it
of
doesn't
different
really
places from.
say what you did, otherwise it's gonna say you went to such and such a street, you went here, you went there.
No, like this one should say, Goose was on the front lawn, we tried to approach it, I walked through the snow, there was blood on the snow. I tried to catch it, as soon as I got to it, like I tell them what I did or what I didn't do. You know, there's some kind of, and if it doesn't, then I usually write in an explanation, right on and it's all by time. I mean, I can do it any way you want, but that's how, when I started, that's how it was done, so I just continued.
So the 10 grand is labor. Is that what it is?
Would be the 4 hours extra, yeah.
How many hours do you work for the police department?
Sorry, my brain is not working. 4 shifts a month,
4 8-hour shifts a
4
month?
8-hour shifts a month.
So that would give you 40 hours.
I don't wanna give up the police station.
Well, you can't be on call 24/7 if you're 40 hours at the.
They all call the police station, I answer the phone.
Then what happens?
But I
if you're
understand that,
working?
but you're there answering the phone, you
If
can't
I'm,
leave
and
to
if
do.
it's not an emergency, I take care of it as soon as I get out. If it is an emergency, I can either call, usually I call David from Lakeville.
And
if
then
it's
we
an
have to
absolute
pay David?
emergency. No,
He does it for free? You must cover for him.
and I cover for him, yeah. He was actually in the hospital, I covered for him a couple weeks ago.
How do you get paid for that?
I don't.
You guys just do it for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, you asked for more hours and we gave them to you?
Not last year.
The year before, 8
The year
hours?
before, yep.
And then last year, you asked for
Nothing.
an increase?
I didn't ask for an increase. That was done at town meeting for I was told, I don't know anything about it, it was for
Contracting.
contracted
But your budget went up
employees.
because of that
Right.
last year,
Yeah.
in the middle of the year, all right?
Yes, that was approved at town meeting.
Non-contracted.
So you,
The appointed employees got some kind of
Cost of living increase.
yeah.
I thought you had an assistant.
I did 2 years ago. Jared has left 2 years
I
ago.
thought it was a girl.
Oh, no.
No, she was an assistant.
Yeah, I was. the
Are
assistant
we,
when it
are
was
we
Matt.
looking for an assistant? Are we advertising for assistant? Are we, just curious?
yeah, no.
Why wouldn't you
Well-
wanna be full-time?
Because I don't want to give up the police station.
Why?
Well, one, I like it. And my theory is someday I'm not going to be able to chase geese across the field. And I can still have that to sit down and, I mean, I would, if you would give me full-time, I would be full-time. I would, honestly.
I mean, it's dangerously close now, 36 is full-time, but it's sort of.
32.
Or is it-
It'd
or is
be
it
32.
Let's go to 32.
I understand, but I'm saying dangerously close. If you go to 32, you
Yeah.
full-time is considered, or is it 32 full-time now?
36 is considered full.
Right.
For us, 4 hours.
I'm just saying, you're only 4 hours away, you know, just.
I really caution everybody again, because once we start adding hours and increasing
That's right.
salaries and doing this and that, and then we can't afford it, then we go back and we cut. So, you know, it's kind of like the goose that laid the golden egg, sort of, no pun intended right now. But I'm saying, it's like, there is no golden egg. I mean, we're doing our job, and we're being fiscally responsible, and we have other things coming up, and I don't want you to, not that we don't think it's a good idea, but we don't know if it's affordable. And the cherry sheets haven't come out yet, we don't know what our revenue streams are gonna be. We have money set aside that we have to do different things with, and, you know, I caution everybody, because everybody's coming in and they want, and they should want, but we might not be able to afford it, and I just want everybody to know that.
I agree, because after we get done with the treasurer.
I think we should take it under advisement.
Yeah, absolutely, like we are doing with every other budget, but we haven't come in with the red pen.
No, that's fine, I don't need any, the vehicle works fine,
Everything's great.
I got a donation account, getting ready to start to get some equipment that we do need for the trap neuter program, but, so I don't really need anything, it's just,
Nobody-
now I'm doing more things.
Nobody better than me knows how much work's involved,
Right,
yeah.
believe me.
Right, so,
And there's no, I'd be the last person to say that there's not 40 hours worth of work in this town to do as far as animal control goes.
right,
It's just a question of,
right, yeah, I
affording.
get that.
I'd actually, and again, I personally, I'd feel more comfortable if you could get an assistant to
Yeah,
take
that's
some
the
of
thing
the,
that
to
got
take
my-
some of the burden off you.
Well,
And again, you know, but don't forget that would be, it would be a question of hours too. Because
Yeah, it's another.
That's a
See,
trap,
that's
it's a trap that we get into where it's, and you can, I'm sure you can understand it, you know, you start out with 10 hours and it's 15 and it's 20, then it's, and then all of a sudden, instead of being 15,000, it's 40,000 or, it doesn't sound like a lot, but
Right.
when we're trying to build a budget, you
gone up a lot in the
know,
last
in every
couple years.
department, every person, every department,
because
you
that's
know,
the
I
biggest,
mean, we used to be
it's,
at $10,000.
it adds up at
that's
the
the
end of the
biggest
day, it adds
burnout.
up.
The biggest burnout in that job is the fact that you leave town to go do errands and they're calling you on the phone.
I can't even sit
You
down and go to a
can't,
restaurant
you can't,
without
you don't
the
have a
phone.
life, and that's the thing with one person all the time.
I have a
And,
question.
but I've been lucky because David has, or Jen, who's one of theirs, they have 4 in Lakeville. They have 1 full-timer and 3 part-timers. So I've been lucky that I can work with them, and I'm friendly enough with them or whatnot that.
We should, but that's my point, we should have some part-time people involved here. You know, even volunteer people, but I mean, you know, have
But
an
with
assistant.
volunteer, then you get into insurance and liability, and that's why we
No, no.
can't have volunteers at
Do
the
you ever
shelter.
run into an overtime situation?
No.
No, okay.
Well, I still think there should
Lakeville's
be an
got
assistant.
multiple
You know,
towns
we should
in
look
this.
into that.
They only
I don't
serve
know if
their
we have to
town.
advertise or
They
what the deal is,
take
but
into the shelter
it's a part-time position on the 20.
7 other towns, right, but they only go out to
Well,
their
you know,
town, well,
I'm
in
talking
here,
about
because-
Some of those
benefits and
part-timers
money, you know, we're talking straight pay. So if you, just to take some pressure
Right,
off her.
right.
So should we cut her hours? Is that what
Well,
you're suggesting?
well, again,
No.
not necessarily.
No,
Not necessarily, but again, you'd have to take into consideration if she had an assistant and they had a schedule, she had a schedule, you know, the budget is the budget. I mean, if you're gonna approve 40,000, you have to split her up some other way if she was working less hours.
Well, we're
I
gonna take
just-
this under advisement,
yeah.
like somebody said?
I mean, now we know exactly
I
what
say take
the,
it under advisement. We
what
can
the
discuss
increase
it.
is. We know what the increase is. It's
That's the
There's
only
4
thing.
more
Right,
hours,
yeah,
okay.
4 more hours, yeah.
Yeah.
And that would allow me actually to drop a day at the hospital. Right now I work 3 jobs. That would allow me to drop a day, so I'd be more accessible here.
and
than
your
I am.
computer,
That's all set.
you've
Yeah.
got everything
Yeah.
all set, all right.
Okay.
You got it. Thank you.
We'll talk about the golden rule after the treasurer. I guess
Yeah.
somebody-
My advice to you, my personal advice to you, being that I've done that job, is keep a written logbook of everything you do.
Okay.
like carrying the golden. Goose broke his leg carrying a golden egg. There you go.
All right, we're good. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Goose broke her neck going
No,
in
you can
over
say
there.
that.
So what's that? I have to get Dana for Wednesday.
Okay, come on now. 1:45.
What show was that? Come on down.
Price is right. That's what we're here for, the price is right.
Bryce, are you sure you still
Come on down.
The guy that.
Right?
No, wait a minute.
No?
I don't think.
Brooke, lunch.
Yeah, your name. You called your name. Calls and all. Come on down.
Oh, you're not there on Thursday. Or
What'd you say, 1:43?
1:45.
Yeah, you know,
Treasurer collector?
We need to
Yeah,
put
well, I
some
have it,
hearing
I
aids
would
in
have
the
to.
budget.
No, I'm
Go
leaving.
ahead, Stuart, we got it. Yeah,
Maybe you also buy him the horns.
No problem.
Hello.
Let us know. I'd love to submit a bill to the town.
Oh, yes, you would.
Say, just before 9 o'clock? Okay. All right.
8:45 Wednesday.
Wednesday. I'm gonna go change my socks. So.
Okay.
I wish 4 years ago I started with one. I'm glad you have. We're waiting on you, Lisa.
All right, last year it was at 172. This year at 174.
The only increases were
You
the
see
contractual
172.
Where is she,
increases.
172?
What did you see, 172?
Hold on.
171?
We adjusted it last year. I got it, it's on my second page.
No, Kim would have this.
This is our,
No, I know, it's on her original. We adjusted it. I got it, it's on my other page.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so bad.
The only increases are contractual increases. And I received my certification. And that's what the $1,000 is in there for from last year.
Is that under your salary?
It's under educational incentive stipend.
Oh,
It's
okay.
$1,000.
Yep.
That's for receiving a Mass Treasurer and Collector certification.
And the salary is going up also? Permanent full-time treasurer?
It's 2% in contract.
Is that in the contract? Okay. Didn't know.
why is the, line 2 there, salaries, wages, assistant, it's going up 3.41, is that, what is that?
That's contractual too. She signed
Say again?
a retirement agreement.
Early retirement.
Early retirement agreement where she gets an increase of X amount of dollars for every year, I believe 5%, she got another 1%. That's a 2-year, if they,
Early retirement.
early retirement, their contract states that they get an incentive
To retire early?
to retire early.
Where did they get the contracts?
It only makes sense to you and I if the person's leaving and you're not replacing them, then it makes sense. But they get it in municipal government, whether they leave or replace them, whatever. It's one of those things that you lay awake at night saying, we gave them a raise because they just told us they were gonna retire.
Well, the fire and police got $2,000.
They don't retire any early.
Huh?
It's, they were all put in the contract, but it's not done by
No,
every
that-
town. It's in
I
the
I
contract.
understand that, so I just said, police and fire, if you tell the chief he's leaving, they get a $2,000 raise.
Well, they get a 5% raise, 5%, I guess.
You didn't get that
More.
until after the governor.
From Uncle Sam? I got a, no, I was lucky I didn't get a kick in the behind when I walked out. No, I didn't get that. We don't get it.
So if it's
Well,
put into a
in private,
contract,
I
it
didn't
can be
get that
taken out of
either.
the contract. Is
They
that what you're
didn't
saying?
give you one, Lee? Son of a gun,
No,
see
they
that?
did.
We should have worked for the town.
Right?
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't get anything for it.
So
I'm working for it
that's
now.
what that's all about. I see you shaking your head, but it's in the contract, it's been
That's
there
not why,
forever.
that's not why I'm shaking my head, Lee. What I'm shaking my head at is the fact that it just seems to me that once something goes in a contract, that's it, it's written in blood. It can never come out of the contract. You can never do anything with it.
You could.
Huh?
You could.
Absolutely
You just have
could.
to give to get.
One of the things I notice in municipal
Well,
government
it could be done
contracts,
for further, for
is-
future.
the municipal side of it, the body that's negotiating, never asks for anything in return. Never.
What are you talking about, the site?
They don't ask the labor unions for anything in return.
Any
They
concessions?
just give.
Again, yeah, but I'm saying it just doesn't make any sense. It's never made any sense to me, to be perfectly honest with you. Because it doesn't seem like a fair bargaining,
But
where
today-
one side gets something, the other side doesn't get something
But
too.
today, it is what it is. When we bargain with the laborers union, then maybe that's something we can address.
Good luck with that. The labor unions in this.
Never say never.
So, and there's no caps on anything, that's the other thing. There's usually caps on things, but there's just no caps on anything, yeah.
Things could be changing. However, that's neither here nor there.
Those are the only increases.
Is there, when somebody gets contract, under contract when they leave, they get this raise, do they have to guarantee to leave?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they're leaving.
And I think that this all started, well, before me, but I think most of this started is because you couldn't keep up with the affordability on what you were paying people, so you gave them an incentive to leave early so that you could rehire somebody at a lesser amount. That was the thinking, I believe.
But it's
That
not
was
working.
silly.
But it doesn't work
It
like
doesn't
that
work that way.
because.
Don't do it, 'cause that don't
Well,
work.
no, but here you go. In this particular instance, if we don't have to hire an assistant treasurer, we can just hire an administrative assistant. So, I mean, in that instance, it may work. Because no one said you, see, that job was created, right? So, whatever
Same thing
board.
just- Yeah, same thing just happened in Jackie's office.
Right.
She had an assistant clerk, the person retired, we were replaced by a
With
senior
an
clerk.
administrative assistant, so
Yeah.
you get rid of that whole thing, and then you do end up saving, you're gonna be saving a lot of money on that, in that instance.
No, there is a lot at that time.
Well, you're talking about a pound, what, one person here, one person there,
Yeah.
versus the police and fire department,
Right.
many people.
Yeah, but the same thing, you don't have a lot of people leaving.
Well, eventually they do.
Well, I know. I mean, they got one, I think they got one on the police department now that gave their notice.
You know,
And somebody on the fire department's gonna give their
Yeah.
notice.
but there's two.
Anyway, we're good with this, huh?
I'm good with this.
Okay,
Good with this?
yeah,
Well,
yep.
Everything's pending the money, you know that.
Tax title, 158.
Well, this is guaranteed.
And that's where you wanna spend the money. We've taken
What?
in so far this year,
Not
taken
the
in
bottom
close,
line isn't contractual.
since last July,
No.
taken in close to $250,000. So the plan is, I didn't budget any extra because if I go over this, which I have this year, it's going to come out of the recap. It's gonna be
Okay.
just extras.
Yeah.
But my goal, and I plan on asking to meet with the board to take it to the next level. And the next level being to start the process of foreclosure, and then possibly doing some tax sales if necessary. But it's gonna take an attorney. Did look at some outside services, but they cherry pick. So I'd like to maintain internal control if possible, even if I have to do the work myself.
Okay.
So that, with the attorney and an auctioneer.
I would ask you, as a resident of the town of Freetown, as well as a selectman, not to sell our tax titles.
I don't wanna do that.
Okay.
I don't wanna do that. I feel as though we
That
lose
has a
control.
very big detriment on the taxpayer. Because
I feel we lose control of the whole situation also.
How many
But-
foreclosures are we talking about?
We're hoping that they will come to the plate and pay
Right.
before that happens.
How many are in default,
And
tax
we,
date?
we put in, I'm up to date, everything is in tax title for 2014. And so we've sent out 3 letters, and every time I send out a letter, I get closer and closer to starting the booklet. But each time I have procured some payment agreements, I've gotten some payoff, people have refinanced, I show them what it, we're allowed to do a 5-year payment plan, and I do a printout for them, what it is if they were able to refinance at 4% opposed to paying the town of Freetown 16%. And that encourages people who can possibly
Right.
do so, to refinance their homes. some of the properties that are in tax title have been in there for a long, long time. And it's unfortunate, and those are the people that are gonna be harder to bail out because it's over their head. They're $40,000-$50,000 in debt, so.
I think you should proceed in foreclosure, but the town handle it,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah,
How much money
absolutely.
did you say you recovered? Did you
A $250,000, close to $250,000 since
It's not
last July.
bad for a $6,500 a year investment, is it? We got any more investments like that around town that we can?
Well, it's persistence, it's letters, and
1,000%.
there are people, we've set up a spreadsheet for people who can't pay or can't get refinanced. Not everybody's in a position to do that, but I'm expecting a couple of big payoffs this week. Maybe another $30,000. So every time I've sent a letter, but talk is cheap after a while, that you have to move. So I've given, some people haven't responded at all, and those people are the ones who need to move on. We really need to step it up. But I'm gonna need the help of the tax title attorney, and, but no, I agree, I don't wanna sell it either. Kim and I have discussed it, and it's not the best for the town.
Could you tell us how many properties are in tax taking right now, roughly?
I know money-wise, I don't know exactly how many properties off the top of my head. There's $1.3 million right now in tax title. 2.3. But I've collected some as far back as 1985. So we're getting there, and we've cleaned up.
Why
Some of
wouldn't,
them,
I'm just curious, why would something be delinquent since 1985 and no one's made an attempt to get the money?
well, you can put a lien on the property, and, it depends what the situation is. That's the reason why they chose not to foreclose at that time. I just took 4 years and put into subsequent tax title. We were 4 years behind. So I took 11, 12, 13, and 14 in the last, before June 30th, or and some shortly after June 30th. So they were really behind in doing the tax titles.
That's the foreclosure, that's the, moving it from
From the tax time to the
tax
treasurer's
title,
side.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that should be done every year.
Yeah?
So we were 4 years behind.
It wasn't done.
Yeah.
It is now.
So, and unfortunately, the longer a liability is left uncollected, the more difficult it is to collect. The payments that are coming in, most of them are 14s, 13s, 12s. The further back they go, the more difficult it is to collect them. I had one man who walked away from his property who had a debt, who owes the town approximately $100,000. And he walked away from the property because he knows he cannot refinance that property.
And then the process is to go, you have to go to foreclosure, you have to file with the land court, and the land court is very reluctant to take property from people. Even if you get a foreclosure, the person still has a year to pay it off.
Right, redemption.
And sometimes there's problems with the title, so that even if you want to go forward, if you can't get a clear title, you can't go forward with anything. It takes years sometimes to do it. So we have to pick and choose which ones, not that we want to pick and choose who we're going to foreclose on, but clearly there's some things you don't want to foreclose on, or some things you won't be able to sell because they're not buildable. And the town may want to take it in lieu of taxes as conservation land. So we have to get a group together to decide what we're gonna do with some of these properties. There's a few of these, there's 27 parcels, I believe, that are small, tiny lots. They add up to a lot of money.
But you're not
they're
doing anything
buildable.
for it, right, they're not building.
We've got a company who wants to start some marijuana farms, maybe we can.
Well, the smaller lots, actually, just a thought, you could approach the abutters and see if they wanted to pick it up, extend their property. And I think in a lot of cases, people would, just to.
But these are kind of together, but they're swampland.
The problem, before you can do that, you've gotta take them, you've gotta foreclose on them.
No, I understand.
Some of the older cases, you can't even find the rightful owner. Even when the land court searches, they can't find the rightful owner, and the court will never deal with it. Really?
So it stays vacant or unused, and no one's paying taxes on it, period, because nobody can figure out who owns it.
Right, it just sits there.
So it just sits there.
That makes sense.
All right, so, we'll do the retirement, pension that everybody just got.
Say what?
We just got this, one of these newbies.
What was that?
What number is pension in here?
9/11?
9/11? So I'm gonna have to put this in here.
I'll do that another day.
9/11, is that like, 9/11, that rings a bell, doesn't it?
Yeah, not a good one either.
No, not a good one.
So the plan is this year to pay the county retirement in one lump sum and save the town $15,000 in interest. I may have to borrow from the stabilization account in order to do that because of when it's due. But then once we, the revenue flow starts coming in with the July taxes, we should be able to put it back. But that'll save us roughly $15,000 instead of paying in 2 installments.
Good move.
It went from 812 to 747, 8% decline.
Instead of paying it twice a year, we're gonna just pay it one time. And then that way you save money in interest.
It kind of gives you a break.
Can I just make one comment? The original assessment also went down for fiscal 16. The assessment is 745, 143. That was the first information that we received. And if you choose to pay it in one payment, you get an additional discount. So it went down overall, just as a lower
And then-
assessment, plus there's the savings for a one-time payment as opposed to 2.
What was the original amount?
745, 143, which is what's in your packet.
Actually, what's here is
And then
from
the
747, 390, 379.
745, 143.
Oh, well, that includes, that's another pension that's included in there. That's the Leona pension that's in that.
16.3.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
different pension.
And it went to what, how much?
745, 143.
From where?
Well, for fiscal 15, it was 795, 947. So it went down 50,000 right there. So you can,
If you want a copy of this, you can have it.
Yeah, well, that Leuna pension, that may be changing too, right?
Yes, that's what I hear from the police department.
Police department dropped out of Leuna. So
Well,
that means,
not yet, but I don't know, is that as of June 30th, pension law? I don't know, he said they negotiating or what have you, but.
yeah, which means that we no longer have to pay that pension, but we'll have to pay it for the other employees that are still in it. But the police department, my understanding is they're leaving Leuna.
That's
And
what
I think we got paperwork on that, that had come in. I don't know if it's official yet, but that would reduce that, our liability, because we won't have that anymore.
Absolutely.
I know. That's what I mean.
Absolutely. That's 18% per employee,
Different bunch. Per hour.
per hour, yes.
Do you put anything in for foreclosure?
No,
You don't, huh?
no.
We used to put a line item for foreclosure.
I think we moved it into, well, like I said, depending on what we use, my understanding is that they'll charge, we can charge it and pay it back to the.
You can charge, whatever you use for foreclosure, you can put on the recap sheet, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. That's why we stopped doing it.
All right, what else? Is that it for you?
No.
Health insurance.
Health insurance was one. we had a meeting back at, Jack and I had a meeting with, our rep,
Which number are we on here?
914?
914. And they, in November, they asked us to budget, they thought it would be 7.5% to 8%, and they came back and said the average is like 9, was it 9% or 10%? 9%, I think. So we don't have a bottom line figure yet, but we budgeted 8, so we may have to increase that.
You don't have 914? You good, Jim?
I think,
That's okay. All right.
I think it
Is
was
it-
eight,
We don't know what it
it
is
should
yet.
come in at 8.1.
Is it,
I have to check.
have you spoken with her?
Yeah,
You have?
I think it was,
She hasn't spoken with me.
I'll have to check.
Because she told us to budget between 7.5 and 8, we budgeted 8.
Yeah,
And she
it's
said
a
the
little-
average was
it's up
coming
from
in,
there. Yeah,
that the average was coming in at 9,
Nine.
9.5%. So we don't have a bottom line figure.
8.7, rings a bell.
8.7?
I think so. I'll call her in the morning.
So we don't know what it's gonna be.
So again, the bottom line for the request is $1,267,119?
It's going up.
Or
It's
is
going
it,
up from that.
or is it 1,227,119.02? And you've got Medicare insurance penalty of $16,000, what's that?
Well, that's another budget, I believe. Are you talking about, oh, that's,
This is the
that's
sheet
one,
that I'm working.
that's 1.45% that we pay into Medicare.
Diane, he's talking
Is that
about
it?
the insurance penalty for the folks that didn't
Oh,
get converted
okay,
over.
I'm sorry, okay.
That's okay.
Yes,
The 16.
we adopted chapter 30, section 18, chapter 32B of chapter 32B, which forces retirees to go, once they reach the age of 65, to go on a supplemental plan. There are some people who did not transfer to the supplemental plan at the age of 65. In the last year, we have implemented this chapter 32B, section 18, as a result of it. And I helped these retirees, my staff, helped these retirees file for appeals because it was only to benefit the town. They did not waive any of the penalties. And the state law, this chapter 32B, section 18, the onus is on the town to pay the penalty. So now, all of these employees who are incurring this penalty, we have to reimburse them the penalty that they're paying on their Medicare Part B, which amounts to roughly $1,206 a month.
For each one?
No, they're all individual. Some should have gone, 2 years ago.
So it's 16,000 for the year, that's what
For
you're
the
saying?
year, is
Okay.
what the penalty reimbursement is right now, yes.
Is that one-shot deal, 1 year?
No, that's forever.
No, it's not forever.
Well, until they die.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to say that, you made me.
I know you didn't wanna say it, but you gotta say it.
Or in other words, lifetime?
Yeah, he doesn't leave it alone.
That number will be dropping.
It'll be dropping as
Over
time
time.
goes on.
Well, what if you're
That's a nice way to
65?
put it.
No, these are people that are long.
I knew he wasn't gonna let me off, but he knew I didn't want to say it.
I know you didn't wanna say it, but I mean, this guy doesn't, he didn't know what you were saying, you gotta tell.
Okay.
But,
But-
I'm confused
but-
on this here, on the regular health insurance. What was our figure for this year?
That-
Is
what
that
they-
the 1,248,000?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And it may go up 7.1?
No.
8%.
I think it's 8.7.
8.7, so.
Well, I thought he
The
just
average, the average is 9.
We've already increased it by 8, so that shouldn't
So
have to
another-
increase.
All right, so,
Much more.
oh, so this figure, yeah, but this is fiscal year 2015 here. Where's 16? I don't see 16.
Well, I'm not looking at, you're looking at my paperwork?
That's what we
This
got.
is 16, yes, 1.267,119.
Okay, that's 16, that's the request for 16,
Yes.
okay.
And there's gonna be another 1% on top of that because they told us 8 and it's gonna be slightly more than that. And also, we're being billed now by other communities from people who retired from the town of Freetown. They're all doing it, you know, reciprocal. So when we have somebody who's retired, let's say they retire from Lakeville, and they spent some time in Freetown, then we will be reimbursed health insurance.
Oh my God.
We have some people that way,
Well,
one or two.
well, but Middleborough, Bristol County Retirement is the one who informs me as to who owes the town of Freetown money.
Did you
That
have
they
to chase
keep-
them?
Yeah, well, they didn't have to chase us, we paid the bills, but we
That-
get charged back from the town of Middleborough. That was another $40,000 we had to dish out to the town of Middleborough for people who spent time in Freetown or retired from another community. So we have to, it's a bookkeeping nightmare, I can tell you that, to keep track of it all. But to go back to what you were asking, the bright side of this coin, there is a bright side. All these people who went on the supplemental plan, let's say, no, we all died, but that's not the bright side. The bright side is going from the, going from the active plan, no, I'm trying to tell him the benefit, you know, the benefit. Although
ready.
the ball was dropped again by not implementing this in a timely manner. However, the fact that we haven't implemented it, let's say somebody being on an active PPO plan would cost the town, let's say, you know, the whole plan is $1,500 a month. And they were paying 25% of that, and the town was paying 75% of that, okay? Now, the supplemental plans are much cheaper, they're like $270, and we're paying maybe $200 rather than $1,200 towards this person's health insurance by going on the supplemental plan. So there's a great savings on going forward on everyone who's transferring from the active plan to the supplemental plan.
She shifted the burden to Uncle Sam.
So everyone
I thought we were
now,
getting to that.
so everyone now who is Medicare eligible, which is just about everybody. Because if they're not eligible because they didn't pay in and their spouses did, then they piggyback on their spouses. So everybody's is being forced basically when they reach the age of 65 to go on the supplemental plan, which is much cheaper for the town to support than the active plans.
The
The
bottom
active
line,
plans are very, very expensive.
the bottom line on 914 is we gotta pay what we gotta pay.
You
Just
gotta
shut up
pay.
and pay it, right? I mean,
You
that's
gotta pay.
what.
But I just wanted to tell them there was
Yeah, I get it.
a bright side to that.
Bottom
No,
line,
I
we
wish
have
I
no
did,
say
though.
so at all
At some
what it
point,
is.
I can, you know, I'd be happy to get some, I know what it's cost us not to go over, but we're saving money going forward by having implemented this plan. Yeah.
Okay.
The
Everybody okay with
PPO is
914?
$1,500 a month
Okay.
per individual.
Is that it?
No, where's that?
No, we got more.
What else
Okay.
we got? Oh, unemployment.
Which one is that?
Life insurance? Is one, Medicare is one?
Unemployment benefits, we left it the same.
Unemployment was 913.
Unemployment, you left it the same?
Yep.
30,000. Good.
What was used?
Expended,
13?
That's so far this year.
Yeah, that's just 6 months.
And
That's-
14, that's 6 months, and the last year, 14 was, you know, it depends on how many people go on
Yeah.
unemployment. But expended this year was the 13,465 so far.
So far.
We had
As
somebody
of
unemployment?
12/30, was that 12/31?
Yeah, that's what.
We had somebody for unemployment?
Don't make
She
me
was
say
the
it.
administrator.
Seen one?
She's still on unemployment. Who's the guy? Richard?
Okay.
Is there any way we can poison that check?
It is what it is. And then we have the,
It's on TV.
Well, I may
We
have
have-
medication too.
you're on medication, is that what you're saying?
No.
All right, what's the next one?
Um,
I don't,
We have-
Ally, I don't have these sheets, so
Put some rice
I'll just give
We
you my
have some,
book.
we have debt. You wanna do the debt? Life insurance premiums. Put it at $1,000.
950 life insurance. You wanna look on the money?
They'll think we like each other.
Life insurance for home.
People get the wrong impression.
Right?
Who's the life insurance for?
The employees,
That's the town share for the employees'
town share.
life insurance.
$1,000?
Yep. Okay, 22 cents per employee.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Then we have, debt,
Which one is, what's the number?
751.
Going backwards.
761?
750.
750.
No, 710.
710, okay.
Retirement
I was gonna say, I don't have 751.
Okay. Oh,
Freetown Elementary Principal, AEL excluded.
those figures are just based on the,
How can the debt go up?
Because we're paying more in interest, I mean in, principal.
Principal?
It's staggered, if you look at the way it's calculated on the debt service schedule, it looks like it's going up on principal 10,000 every year.
Or is that how the schedule is?
Yep, that's how the schedule is, so, yep. So obviously that will save you because you'll pay less in interest.
And what's the long-term debt? Freetown Elementary interest, that's on the elementary school?
Correct.
Where's the debt exclusion for the IT stuff at the high school?
That's on the school budget.
That's gonna be on the school budget, okay.
Correct.
All right, you
Yeah.
can see that.
One thing to keep in mind, even though it's $525 for the elementary school, you do receive MSBA reimbursement for a big chunk of that, so you're only out of pocket just over 100,000, something like that.
we all set with that?
Yep.
912, workman's compensation.
Whoa.
Guess we didn't include any additional now.
912?
Yep.
Allocated 20?
28? Oh, yeah, 20.
Huh?
Workman's comp, yeah, 20,000. What's the thing under that says police and fire accidental? Is that,
That must be the increase that we did. Is that the increase we did this year for insurance?
That's that additional insurance.
Insurance, yeah,
okay,
that's
all
what
right,
I
yeah,
thought,
all right,
yeah.
cover it in case, yeah, all right.
Right, and you can see that we've already spent 27, so 28. Again, we don't really know what the amount is going to be, but you just round it up to
We might
28.
have those, the correct figures by town meeting.
Oh, I would hope so,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
So the 28, 6 months?
No, that's the full amount of, we pay at the, one time. That's the full amount of the fee.
1 year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have 916, which is Medicare, which we haven't determined because we need all the budgets to be calculated. And then it'll be 1.45 of the payroll.
Yeah, that's our match, right?
Yeah.
Questions? Everybody good? We're good.
Okay.
Can I indulge the finance committee and the board of selectmen?
Wait, are we doing you too?
I thought you were,
Oh,
but
we
you
did
don't
you?
want to.
Oh, okay, never mind, I'll wait till you tell.
I thought it was two, he was like.
Yeah, accountant was on the list there.
She's here watching over us every meeting.
That was funny.
What number is it?
135.
I was waiting for my moment in the spotlight.
I know, right?
All right, good.
Sidestep me.
Sorry.
Do you know everybody here?
No, not really.
Okay.
Well, you
That's
weren't
Paul
missing a
Small.
thing.
Hi, Paul, nice to meet you.
Bob
Alderson.
Alderson. I was getting to that.
I know
Bravo.
Brad.
And you guys met last week,
I
right?
know Brad, but I'm sorry, I don't.
Chris Mallon.
I guess.
Does she know you?
Okay.
My budget is 135. There's a labor summary sheet that breaks down the information for the payroll. It includes my salary at the current amount, and then it does include an increase based on my contract, assuming that's approved by the Board of Selectmen to go with that increase. So it was just prorated based on the number of days within each period at the rate that was agreed to. For the senior clerk position, again, that is just based on the current contractual amount that's in the CBA. And it does include the 26.2 pay periods this year. And there is also a $100 increase in longevity for the senior clerk, again, based on the contractual agreement. Overall, the salary for the town accountant position is lower based on the changing of the counts. So overall, there's a decrease in the budget. The expenses have basically been level funded.
That's one in a row. So I just had her a little bit fun.
I try to follow directions. The other part of my budget is the annual financial statement audit.
136?
136. There's no current contract in place, but I believe when bids were received for fiscal 14, it was asked that the firms provide a quote for the next two audit cycles. So if the board determines it wants to go again with the lowest accounting firm, it would be with Roselli and Clark, and I've basically included their quote of 19.5 in the budget.
You think they did an adequate job?
Yeah. They had been the accountants for the town constable where I had previously worked, and I thought they were very efficient and thorough, and they usually have a good manner.
We asked them about you when you interviewed, and they said nice things about you, and they were right.
Oh, well, thank you, thank you.
It said 19.5, but on page 3, it says, all-inclusive 24,000 in the back. Is that something else added on top of that? Just 3 pages after the fee for professional services on the audit cost.
Oh, those are, this is, I included all of the proposals that came in from the
Oh,
different
okay.
firms, just so that you could see
Oh, yeah.
what was there. So, there were 5 firms that put in quotes,
Great, thank you.
okay? Then the only,
It's just for understanding.
were there any other questions on that? The only other thing I wanted to bring up, it's not exactly part of my budget, it would ultimately be part of the MIS budget, but it was something I was asked to look into, was the proposal for doing the purchase order system with Vadar. So I don't know if you folks have been able to consider that at all, but it's something that you can include as part of MIS, but
You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Oh, I do,
There was
but I
a-
don't.
There was a management letter finding to consider using a purchase order system for any purchases
Oh,
over
yeah,
$1,000.
yeah.
You presented that to us before, right?
Right,
Might
so,
not have been here.
so,
And we discussed it.
yeah, so there's nothing
Yeah, but
in the budget to consider that. You know, I didn't put it in my budget because really it's part of the MIS budget, so just something
Did
maybe.
you put it in the MIS budget?
I didn't
You
because
didn't?
there's been no recommendation as to whether.
From us, you mean?
Yeah,
How much is it?
okay. Good question. The first year, the cost is $4,980, and then the subsequent years are $950 for the ongoing support.
And 950 thereafter?
Yes.
Forever.
Well, so you must have, you got it down there. Okay.
You can add that to the MIS budget.
Well, we haven't gone over that, and there might be some things that we may reduce in the MIS, because we haven't seen backup for some of this stuff, like replacement equipment and things like that. I think we asked the last town administrator to give us the backup on that, and we haven't
seen that
we haven't seen that yet, so this is a non-real number.
Well, I mean, it's a heck of a, we went down 100%. Right. Yeah, I guess we have to look at this budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't want it to be forgotten about if there was any interest.
Well, I think it was, I thought the auditors, you know, they recommended it, and there was a reason for recommending it. So, it would help, certainly help the town out. More accountability.
All right.
I have some stuff I'd like to hand out, and Kim, I have a thing for you too. Can I take a few minutes?
Yeah.
Because
thank
we,
you.
and the reason I'm doing this tonight is because we are going to a meeting tomorrow night. This is a joint meeting tomorrow night in the town of Lakeland.
Where do we pick up the bus?
Well, what's it called? One Deer Island,
Deer Crossing.
Deer Crossing Road?
Thank you.
Okay. And, listen, I had some conversation today. I called Fred Baker this afternoon because I was confused. I was trying to figure out, I'm admitting I was confused. And the reason I was confused is I was looking over the package that was given to us at the time the budget was presented by the school committee.
Oh, that's right.
Excuse me, by the superintendent. That's why you. And I'd like to turn your attention to this page here, which is the third page, just so you guys can see, and I learned some stuff. First of all, one of the things that was presented initially was that there was the budget that was proposed on that Saturday was a 1.4% increase. And then at the last.
Wait. Is that the 35,541, 1.4?
33.
I think it's
Is this the correct sheet?
yeah, that's the correction. At the
Okay.
top of the thing, fiscal year 19 budget after offsets, 33,910, 275.
Okay,
Okay, that's after offsets.
so that is a 1.4% increase.
Well, not really, because I'm gonna get back to that in a second.
Okay.
There was another meeting with the regional finance committee meeting, at a regional finance committee meeting, which was the last one, where some of the school committee members had things that interest them, and that was gonna push the budget up to a 34,451,688, still on that same sheet on the top.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Then there was a discussion at that last meeting that the transportation, remember at the annual town meeting, both Lakeville and Freetown cut the transportation costs because the transportation reimbursement was gonna be higher, and it was higher.
Yeah.
However, our last governor, as he was leaving office, went back to the figures before they increased it in fiscal year 15. So right now, as of our last finance committee meeting, we owed the school, totally the school is down $306,115,000. Lakeville's portion and Freetown's portion that we owe them for fiscal year 15, as of the last finance committee meeting, okay? As of today, those figures have changed.
Shocked.
Yes. They transposed the number, that's not what, they transposed the number, that's not mine. They transposed the number. As of today, there's a new figure, did I write it on this sheet here? I may not have written it on this sheet. Transportation is gonna be slightly higher. At the top of this sheet, Fred Baker told me that the fiscal year 15 transportation is now, instead of being 306,115 for the district, is 323,022, which means that Freetown is gonna owe 133,665, which is up from what we had expected.
Right, 120.
It was supposed to be 126,670, it's now gonna be 133,665. All right? So, I was trying to reconcile back to last year. So I pulled out this sheet. This is the sheet created, this one here. I pulled out this sheet, this is what was created last year at the end of the budget process by the school department. And it shows that we owed them $9,109,321 and $11,910,329 was Lakeville's portion, okay?
That's right, I don't even know where that number is here.
At the bottom
Bottom of the sheet.
Okay, at the bottom of the sheet.
I'm
All
going
right,
too
looking
fast.
from the
I
top
got
to the
slowed
bottom
down.
here.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going
Okay.
too fast. So what I do is I wanted to go back to a spreadsheet to determine what we paid last year and what it's gonna look like this year. So I turn your attention to the front page.
Okay.
I know, I drive Lisa crazy. No, I mean, this is, you have to look at these figures. All right? So, if you look at on the top of the sheet, under 2015,
Yeah.
last year's budget started off with 34,045,755. This is computed the way that the school computes it. They reduced it by the Chapter 70 money coming in from the state. They reduced it by McKinney, Vento, school choice, miscellaneous receipts and so forth, and they came down and the transportation reimbursement, and they brought the figure down to 13,026,108. And then they have to add back the capital debt and net transportation. And once you come up with that, the two towns had to come up with 19,736,144.
That's the actual amount that was
That
split.
we have to come up with, okay? So then when you go down to the bottom section, this is the member town share. If you go into Freetown for 2015, we owed them $9,109,324. Lakeville owed them. So there's only about
My sheet says 9,808,770.
right here.
Huh?
Under
Okay,
total required
under
spending with
total
debt and
required.
transportation,
Because
yeah.
I always go to the top line, I'm working my way down, but you go right to the bottom line, okay?
Well, I went through.
Okay, okay.
9,109,324 is what we owed them, and Lakeville owed them 9,591,618.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 11,910,323. All right, so when I talked to Fred Baker, I said, Fred, tell me what you're starting off with the budget.
Yeah.
Well, their budget in actuality starts off for this year, for 16, with 34,810,275. Because when they presented it originally, they were presenting it right up here,
Under 2016.
2016.
Okay.
When they presented that to us that Saturday, they were presenting it net what they were gonna offset against the budget. That's why it was a 1.4% increase. the 34,810,275 is what, at the present time, they are gonna present to the school committee on March 18th for a vote. If you compare that to last year's total budget, it's really a 2.25% increase. And this is without any contractual items coming up with the new contracts that they are currently negotiating. All right? So what I did was I took that figure and I got basically figures from Fred of what the Chapter 70 money is coming in for the fiscal year 16. He had a school choice figure of 175,000. The ones that are highlighted, those two figures that are highlighted are, at this point, not set in stone. The E&D is set in stone, and then the transportation cost for fiscal year 16 is $1,870,150, which is very similar to last year. And the reimbursement from the state is only going to be $1,010,700. So you can see that our net transportation, or the district's net transportation costs, is going up almost $400,000. If you look at the line that says net transportation cost, it's going up $373,563 that we're not getting reimbursed for as of today. So I plugged that into the formula down below, and I split it up the way the school does it. And we're actually,
You're back down the bottom.
I'm down at the bottom on total required spending with debt and transportation. Based on the figures I got today, and granted that some of those figures may change with what they have for miscellaneous income and stuff that they're gonna apply, but it's not gonna be much. Right now, we're looking at an increase for Freetown of $482,000 right now, if they get the budget they're asking for. Our 2.5% increase that we can apply this year to the taxpayer only comes to $422,000. This is unsustainable. I just wanted to present this to you guys, but so tomorrow night, the gobbledygook we may hear, you'll have a background on it. It doesn't make sense.
Well, we're not listening
It's
to
been
the school
unsustainable for years.
tomorrow.
It's just that simple.
We're just talking to Lakeville tomorrow.
We're talking to Lakeville, but this is
So-
what we're gonna be talking about.
The only thing we can talk to them about is the schools.
That's right.
That's it.
We have nothing else to talk to them about.
But this is,
I got it.
it doesn't make any sense.
Listen, anytime that you have a contract that goes 3.5%, and we're only allowed to collect 2.5, you're in negative numbers.
No, this does not.
And you continue year after year. And if you remember
This
when
doesn't
you.
include the contract.
This is not with the contract.
I understand, but when you remember back to, when.
It'll be even worse.
And I can't remember his name, who sold us who was the salesman for the regional?
Macaulay or something?
No.
McCarthy.
Oh, McCarthy.
Regional, yeah.
Yeah. Even in his presentations, he kept saying over and over again that this 3.5% increase year after year is unsustainable. We cannot sustain these numbers. He kept saying it. That was how many years ago? And we continue.
Another interesting fact, you just stick this in the back of your head. If you looked at the amount of students in our system in 2011, it is down 362 students.
Yeah,
this year.
Well,
I mean, that's like putting 15 classrooms with 25 kids in each classroom and taking them out of the school. So we have declining enrollment and rising expenses. And you
Always
notice,
will.
if you look at their proposal, they talk about adding teachers. And they just okayed a kindergarten system now. And we asked the superintendent, what does that entail? That's entailing hiring 2 more teachers.
Wonderful thing for Lakeville.
Listen, I asked that question today. I said, Fred, did the school committee actually approve all-day kindergarten? He said, yes. I said, does that mean 2 more teachers? Yes. That's another 100,000, I said to him.
at
He
least.
says, no, it was already in, this is what he told me, it was already in the superintendent's budget that was presented that Saturday. They already had it in there. He says, it's not an increase, because we've already got it in the figure that was given to you guys. So they already had this already done, it was a done deal.
Yeah,
But if you look at the top of my sheet on the students, from 15 to 16, Freetown lost 2 kids. Lakeville lost 96 kids. That's a net loss of 94 kids.
No, we gained 2 kids.
Oh, I'm sorry, we gained 2 kids, sorry. And Lakeville lost 96. So it's a net 94 loss. There's no savings. I don't
Absolutely,
understand it.
Never will be. There's an absolute increase all the time because it just takes more.
So, I just wanted to give you guys an insight into this.
Here's the other thing, Adam,
Tomorrow.
if you look at K, I guess they call it K, in 2012, they had 221 kids in that designation. In 2014, they had 74, there's 7 kids left. That's like a 15% decrease or 20% decrease in population. Why are we adding kindergarten? Does it make any sense? If your school is being choked for students, what do? You want to get the students up, add kindergarten, because which is cheaper? Because originally, when they talked about kindergarten, they were talking about $2,700 a student. Now they're saying it's free. So here you are, a
You're
parent.
not gonna charge the kids?
What would you rather do? Would you rather pay $5,000 or $6,000 a year on childcare, or have the towns of Lakeville and Freetown pay for it for nothing?
If they're not gonna charge the parents like they're doing now, but that means they're gonna get full day, the parents not gonna pay
A dime.
for childcare, and it's going on the backs of the taxpayer.
And what happens? Now you're gonna have 100, 200 little kids in school.
Well, what they said was that what they said on that Saturday was they were gonna apply the governor's grant to offset the cost of doing full-day kindergarten. But if you look at the 9C cuts that were made this year, he cut part of that grant already, and
That was
I
prior
probably-
government, right?
Right, and I probably think that they're gonna cut that again as well, so I don't know.
It's a gigantic loser.
Are we gonna finish our meeting?
Yeah, we gotta fish out of it, but
We
listen,
gotta finish our meetings.
That's why
these are the figures, based on
Yeah,
data.
the only
why
thing
I
that,
can't go to those meetings anymore.
just keep in mind that what will change is definitely the
You know
chapter
the board
70
voted
from
for
the
that
state,
school
that
spending.
number's gonna change.
Huh?
We don't know if that number's
We
going.
gotta vote
Well,
for
this is a new
net
one.
spending.
Yeah, it's gonna change again. Remember
probably
they,
gonna go down.
Yeah,
remember they
that's what it
told
should
us
be.
the other day, don't use that number,
Right.
that's the governor's number. Do not use the governor's number, so.
What's the agenda on that?
Look it all around, I couldn't
The
find
agenda
it.
is to sit down and talk to Lakeville about the school
I
budget.
just spotted it now.
We just need to see where they're coming from. Are you gonna
It was like it
support
was-
this, are you gonna go
You
less
could
than
be
this, are you
home
gonna go
having
more
a
than that?
cocktail while
So we
you're
kinda
on
know
that
where
chat.
we're.
This
What
is
we're
way
doing
more
is
fun.
stimulating
There's no way.
conversation.
Now, let me ask you a question. What has the track record of Lakeville been?
Well, I don't.
No,
really,
they
because
actually have.
I'm just saying, again, you gotta go,
We, as a town, have to determine, can we support this? We
That's-
can't support something like this.
No.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go up. With
Oh,
the teacher's contract, it's gonna go up worse than this.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna go up 3.5%.
If that happens.
3.5%.
It would be 5.
What country do you live in? It has never
I
gone up
really gotta go.
3.5%.
No, he's talking about above,
Yeah.
I'm talking above and beyond.
above what it is there.
Whatever they get, add another 3 or 4% in steps.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah, steps.
11, 12, 13, and
Just
14.
keep
between
pumping.
No, the
8 and
steps are
10%
already there,
raises.
it's the percentage increase that isn't there.
Right, the percentage
Right.
increase goes across the whole board.
Right, with the
Second.
building inspector, I'll make the motion, all
I'll
right,
second it.
okay,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, the next one.
I make a motion to recommend, Jeanette Tisdale to be on the Council of
Oh, no,
Aging.
Ruth Furlan. Recommended by Jeanette Tisdale.
Oh, her name's not here,
Yes, it is.
I don't have it on mine,
Right here?
I'm not going by that.
Oh, you're not going by that, okay.
Okay.
You make the motion?
Yeah, Ruth Berlin, recommended by Jeanette Tisdale.
Tisdale and the board.
Mhm.
All right. Second, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This is a letter of resignation from Robert Noguera. Effective today, March 2nd, I am resigning my elected regional school committee representative position for the town of Freetown for personal reasons. Since first being elected in 2009, I have truly enjoyed my time serving the community of Freetown and Lakeville. During my time on the school committee, we have lowered classes, fully regionalized the district, and hired a permanent superintendent, and most importantly, improved students' achievement. I would like to publicly thank my fellow committee members and the voters for giving me an opportunity to serve over the last 6 years. Warmest regards, Robert Noguera.
Make a motion to accept and send him a letter of thanks.
Thanking him for his service.
Yes.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also have Ally contact I think we have several letters in right now. So it's a joint appointment, so maybe try to get something scheduled for next week. Do we have a meeting next week? We don't? Oh, then the week after.
The week after. Well, we're so close to the election, why would we even want to do it?
Because we'll be down a vote and outvoted by Lakeville.
Oh, okay. I have another letter of resignation.
That's why.
No. I have another letter of resignation.
Taking him back to the home if he does.
Okay, if I don't smart enough, I'll go back to the home.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I am hereby given my notice as boat ramp attendant. I have obligations at this time that prevent me from being able to perform my duties. It was a great experience, and I met so many nice people along the way. Thank you for that opportunity, and sorry for any inconvenience this may cause. Joanne Hardy, she worked at the boat launch for the summer.
Make a motion to accept with regret.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're the only one that has to sign this?
I guess so.
I would request that we post it, and I would ask that Ally kind of send a notice up here to the senior center. We may have some seniors that might want to spend their Saturdays and Sundays sunning themselves at the boat ramp.
Do you think, should we look into that other proposal
The
that we're
kiosk
gonna do too?
Kiosks.
I mean, we're not gonna be able to get it in for this year, but instead of keep going through this, maybe it's time to look into it once and for all.
I agree with
That could, yeah, that could work.
All right,
That was a good proposal.
it was a good proposal, we'll not have to worry about it, and then we can put it at the beach and everything
That was
else, so.
one cheap habit there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the wait time was only 6 to 10.
Madam Chair?
what?
Yeah, 6 to
I
10
think there was
weeks.
only 6 to 10 weeks on that kiosk.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't very long when I contacted them.
It was what?
It wasn't very
Only
long
6
to
to
get
10
that
weeks for
kiosk.
the
Oh,
lead
maybe
time
we
for
can
that
do it.
So maybe
kiosk.
we
Maybe
can
we
do
can
it.
do
I'll
it.
look, I'll
Let's-
contact that
Let's
person
hold off
again.
on that.
Okay, yeah.
So, Madam Chair,
Yep.
I am done.
Okay, do you have anything, Lee?
No, I'm done.
You're done.
We're all done.
Done.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
I need a motion and a second, but that was pretty funny.
I make the motion, we adjourn.
I thought she made it.
No, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.
Have you ever had so much fun?
No, this
No.
is beyond.
Lori's never gonna wanna tape our meetings again.
Actually, I have to say, this is one of the longest meetings, sorry. It's not usually this long.